Hello, everybody, and welcome. This is the Apostate Prophet, and welcome to a very interesting discussion that we are going to have in review of current events. Specifically, we are going to witness today how Israel or the IDF, the Israeli Defense Forces, responds to Mohammed Hijab and completely destroys him and completely debunks him and calls out the lies that Mohammed Hijab presented to the entire world. So we're bringing two things together: the IDF and Mohammed Hijab, which is quite similar to the IDF and Hamas, which is going on right now since they are at war. Specifically, we are talking about the civilian casualty ratio in this war. But before we jump into this, David Wood, how are you doing?
Yo, yo, yo. Kicking it live with the squeaky flow. How's it going, everybody?
Good.
Yeah. So this is well, it's interesting because Mohammed Hijab, he made his case, but then there's no way he would listen to the IDF reporting on casualties.
Why stuttering?
And yet his figure came from him not being able to read a headline. So he'll trust his own lack of ability to read a headline accurately, but not trust. Anyway, it's going to be interesting stuff. Once you've taken it aside and decided that the other side is a bunch of liars, like you don't know what to believe.
Yeah.
Liar! You're a liar!
So we are going to look at what the IDF says about the civilian casualty ratio. And there was an interview today that the IDF spokesman Jonathan Conricus, I think is his name, that he gave to the CNN. It was reported on different websites, different media outlets, and the importance of this is, of course, when Israel says currently the civilian casualty ratio is this much, I cannot trust that at face value as it is.
Correct.
But Mohammed Hijab, when he just a few weeks ago asserted that there is a 100 to 1 civilian to combatant ratio, which is an insane number. When he claimed that, he based his claim on the IDF's own statements, which he misread. So therefore, we are now going to go to the IDF's actual statements to look at what they say. Since he trusted his false understanding of the IDF statement before, maybe he should be consistent and trust them now. But let's have a look at what Mohammed Hijab actually said about this ratio.
But by the way, you could title this. Mohammed Hijab declares, "I agree with whatever the IDF says."
Hey, that's a good idea. That is a good idea. So let's see.
As reported by The Guardian,
Mohammed, you have a minute.
What I'm saying is the 100 to 1 ratio comes from the following figures. We know that 10,000 civilians have died. Of them, according to the IDF, as reported by The Guardian, 60 dozens, they say, about 60 Hamas died, which we're being liberal by saying 100 to 1 figures. For every one Hamas, you have to kill 100 civilians. That's effectively what we're saying. If the trajectory continues as it is, then you have to kill 3 million Palestinian civilians in order to kill 30,000 Hamas fighters. If you want to extinguish them, eviscerate them, annihilate them, destroy them, you have to do that. Now you have Herzog, who is the president.
You know what's so funny about this?
What isn't funny about
he's giving this slightly passionate speech here, repeating himself, and he's being completely outraged about something that he got wrong. He is outraged about this. He is so outraged, and he would have every right to be outraged if it was true, but he is completely wrong. He misunderstood it. He's the only person in the room, and probably one of very few people in the world, but maybe the only person in the world who actually came up with this ratio. And he's angry here on screen in front of thousands of viewers because he misunderstood something.
And you and I have both watched this entire exchange. Wouldn't you agree that was like the main takeaway point? That was like the basis for his case. He even said it. He even said, because at first he was saying, hey, anytime you're killing civilians, and it's pointed out that civilians are killed in pretty much all wars. And then he said, but it's the ratio. It's the 100-to-1 ratio that is the problem. And then he spends the entire time going off on the 100-to-1 ratio, which is all based on him not being able to read or understand a headline. And we're giving him the benefit of the doubt there, because the alternative is that he did understand it and he just lied about it, knowing that he could defend himself if people called him on it. Then it's, oh, well, I didn't read the headline correctly, so my bad. But the problem with these kinds of things is that when Hijab says these things in a video that gets millions of views, and then we come along later and correct it, well, guess what? Most of the people who absorb that 100-to-1 ratio because they're believing what Hijab says, most of those people don't ever see the correction. So they just keep thinking for the rest of their lives that there's this 100-to-1 ratio, and then they spread it, and then they spread it to other people who aren't investigating. And you get all these millions and millions of people who think that there's this 100-to-1 ratio of civilians to actual Hamas terrorists, and they never get corrected. And this is just it's a problem, and don't think Hijab is too bothered by it.
Yeah. In fact, while you were talking, I just looked for I'm just searching the transcript of this stream here for the number 100. I find 17 instances from minute 6 where he mentions the 101 ratios, 7, 11, 12, 17. Over and over throughout the entire conversation, throughout the entire debate. He brings it up again and again and again from the beginning to the end. It is his main point. It is his point is, of course, we can understand that Israel would respond. We can understand that Israel would bomb and all of that. But the problem is the ratio. That's what he's saying. He emphasizes that is the ratio. So if the ratio is not that high, if Israel is not indeed killing 100 civilians for every combatant, which is a ridiculous number, then everything is okay, according to Mohammed Hijab. So, is everything okay? And look, let's look at this party, for example.
In this way.
Well, here's the quandary for me morally, right?
Why is that a quandary, though?
I'll tell you why.
With Hamas, it's not a quandary.
I'll tell you why. Because in war, when you declare war, as Britain did with the Nazis,
100-to-1 ratio.
No,
100
of course,
to 1.
There are
combatant to non-combatant ratio.
A far higher number of children in Gaza, proportion to population, than almost anywhere in the world. So when they go after Hamas,
give me a chance.
Very sadly, Mohammed, let me finish.
So 100-to-1 ratio again and again. His problem is the 100-to-1 ratio. He also brought this up in a different speech that he posted here, where he talked about the victory is near. He brings it up here as well. That's the main point here. Is again that
in the world today are those Israeli Zionists who are killing those people because they are being exposed as the most dishonorable and cowardly people I've ever read about, with a 100-to-1 ratio of combatant to non-combatant death. How could it be that Hamas is killing more IDF than the IDF is killing Hamas? And to get your anger out, you're killing...
He's saying the same thing again. He's also kind of putting it the wrong way. 100-to-1 ratio, combatant to non-combatant. That sounds like they're killing 100 combatants for one civilian, which would be a very good number.
That'd be some of the best war statistics in history.
That would be the best, probably. I don't think that's even possible. But now, where did he get this wrong? He referenced the Guardian article, as you can. Did we actually go there? The Guardian article, he referenced that. Yes, he said they reported 60.
As reported by the Guardian, 60 dozens, they say, about 60 Hamas died, which we're being liberal by saying 100-to-1 figures.
So this is what he references. He gets it from the Guardian. Now, when we go to the Guardian,
he says he's a liberal. He says he's being liberal.
He's a liberal. When we go to
Mohammed
the actual
Hijab
Guardian,
is a liberal.
This is the article. Israeli airstrikes on Gaza have killed dozens of Hamas commanders, says IDF. Commanders. This is where it all went wrong. Mohammed Hijab saw this title here and somehow understood this as dozens of Hamas members, not dozens of Hamas commanders. And then he looks at it and thinks, okay, Israel has currently killed around 6,000 people in Gaza. If they only killed dozens of Hamas members, then they killed 6,000 people, including 60 of them are Hamas members. That means the rest are civilians. That would be a 100-to-1 ratio. This is the absurd thought that he formed in his mind, and just because he can't read a simple headline here, which doesn't say Hamas members, it says Hamas commanders. It doesn't say anywhere how many Hamas members they killed.
And think about this in the big picture of Dawa. It's someone being either completely ignorant or deceptive, completely misreading some evidence, not understanding it, but then thumping your chest and yelling it and shouting down your opponents until everyone believes you. That's kind of Dawa in a nutshell, just being applied to political commentary now.
Now, here's this is very embarrassing to look at, in my opinion. This is very embarrassing. He is making such a huge blunder, and he actually goes on Piers Morgan, viewed by millions now, and runs with this fundamental claim, which is completely false. Completely false. But the first time he went to Piers Morgan, he talked about how the image of a burnt baby was AI generated, which was completely false, which was a hoax. It was debunked, but he went to Piers Morgan to argue that. Now he goes to argue this. He went to both times with completely false premises, because he can't obtain proper information and can't judge the evidence properly. Now, here is the issue: is he just stupid? Can he not just read, or is he dishonest? I actually chatted with him about a week ago privately, and messaged him about this issue and said, "Hey, are you aware that you completely got this wrong?" And I showed him the headline.
Are you aware of golden showers?
I said, "Did you get this wrong? You clearly got this wrong. Your whole 100-to-1 ratio was completely wrong. The headline here doesn't say members; it says commanders. So this means a lot of stuff that you said on Piers Morgan and other places is wrong, and you should make a clarification and take that back." He changed the topic and never responded to
What
the issue.
What about Rabbi Shmuel's daughter selling vibrators and lube? Explain that then. Did I get that wrong? Was I wrong about that? No.
He actually did bring up Rabbi Shmuel. He said something like I recently saw that Rabbi Shmuley, David Wood, and you came together in a group therapy session or something like that.
Hey, but going along with what you're saying, because you're pointing out this should be embarrassing, right? It should be embarrassing to go on a big show against one of the most recognized rabbis in the world and build your entire case on your own stupidity, and that's best. That's the best case scenario. We're assuming he's not deliberately just lying and misrepresenting things. But I mean, you'll recall when he was talking about Ayaan Hirsi Ali, he pointed out that there is a wrong citation in the notes of her book, that she gave a wrong hadith reference. And then he said, "You see, this is why you can't trust her. This is why she doesn't know what she's talking about. You see, it's a miscitation in the notes, in the end notes of a book. That's enough to dismiss her. You can't trust anything she says. She's completely discredited herself." And yet this guy, he can't read a headline and accurately represent what the headline said. And this isn't supposed to be a problem for him at all.
Yeah.
Hypocrisy.
So therefore, from now on, anything Mohammed Hijab says, you can't trust him. It's all wrong. How can you trust such a guy? Now, we talked about how Mohammed Hijab got his information. He got it from The Guardian. He explicitly said there that that it is the IDF themselves who gave him that number, 100-to-1 ratio, dozens of Hamas members dead, which he completely misunderstood. Very embarrassing.
Pretty humiliating.
What kind of an academic is this? So a development happened, which is that today we have information from the IDF spokesman. Today they gave an interview and gave us an actual ratio here. So if Mohammed Hijab references the IDF and says, they said it's true, they said 101, they said dozens, and he accepts it as completely true, then how about this one? Will he accept this as true as well? Maybe he should. Maybe he should be consistent. Let's look at this, David.
According to the AFP, senior Israeli military officials have said around 2 civilians have been killed for every Hamas fighter that you have successfully killed in the Gaza Strip. So that's 2 civilians for every terrorist. Can you confirm that?
I can confirm the report, and I can say that if that is true, and I think that our numbers will be corroborated, if you compare that ratio to any other conflict in urban terrain between a military and a terrorist organization using civilians as their human shield and embedded in the civilian population, you will find that that ratio is tremendously positive and perhaps unique in the world. I understand that there are civilian casualties, and I understand that footage and coverage goes towards emotions and to cover those civilian casualties.
So it looks like she's kind of distressed about him describing this as a positive thing. She's, I guess, gonna respond to that. But David, you know about these. You know about the civilian to combatant casualty ratios somewhat. I know them somewhat. We recently looked it up. We recently talked about this stuff. So if we are to assume that Israel did indeed kill 2 civilians for each combatant during this war on Gaza right now, would that be a normal number, right?
Yeah, that would be a normal number. But as he pointed out, given the area that it's in, that would be a shockingly surgical number, because that's about the same ratios you had in like World War II, because we looked this up before. It was around 2/3 of the people killed during World War II were civilians, which means it's about a 2-to-1 ratio. But notice that's overall. So that's factoring in all the times you had armies just marching in against each other, where almost all the deaths will be soldier deaths. But you factor in how many people die when they're like going through a city, and then you start getting much higher numbers of civilian casualties than a 2-to-1 ratio. And what you end up with overall, when you factor in the militaries just annihilating each other on the battlefield with the fighting in close quarters in cities and so on, you end up with about a 2-to-1 ratio. That's when you're factoring in soldiers who are just dying on a battlefield and so on. Israel's not dealing with soldiers on a battlefield. They're just dealing with the situation in a city where you've got guys who are deliberately hiding among civilians and positioning themselves among civilians in order to maximize civilian. So in other words, you've got Hamas deliberately maximizing civilian casualties. If in a situation where your opposition is maximizing the number of civilian deaths, if you still ended up with a 2-to-1 ratio, that's pretty spectacular as far as military is concerned. Keep in mind, it's still bad. It's a bad situation to be in. War sucks. But if they're actually anywhere in the ballpark, I would be impressed if it was like 5-to-1 or something like that. I would be impressed with that. If they're actually in the ballpark of 2-to-1, that's shocking accuracy.
I have to say, I have to reiterate, from my perspective, when I look at it, when I look at the information given here, I would say that sounds very good, quite optimistic by the standards of war. That said, it is one party currently that is stating this. I would not entirely believe it. I would expect a higher number of deaths of civilians compared to combatants, because Gaza is so densely populated, because because the whole evacuation of civilians didn't really happen as it was commanded or requested or advised. So I would expect a much higher number of civilians to die, just like you. But if this is the number, then this looks like any other war. In fact, I could bring up a few graphs here. This one is a very, very well-known and accessible one from World War II, which shows deaths by country and military or civilian. You see here Allied civilians, 58% of deaths in World War II, Axis civilians, 4%. Then Allied military 25%, Axis military 13%. These are the civilian casualty numbers, civilian to combat casualty ratios here in the Second World War, and the situation in Gaza would be quite similar to this. The estimates about World War II, I think, actually go to around 3 to 2 and 2 to 1, which would be similar to what we have in Gaza right now. So, you know, under these circumstances, this is going like a regular war. So if somebody like Mohammed Hijab or other people who criticize Israel right now, if they criticize Israel for the high number of civilian deaths, and if they say this is not just any war, this is not just any other war, if it was just a war, just a response, you know, just bombings, I would understand. But this is they're targeting civilians, they're just killing overwhelmingly civilians, babies, women, and so on, then that is misplaced. They are wrong about it if these numbers are true. If these numbers are true, then those people shouldn't be complaining, because these numbers are entirely normal, just like in any other war. And it is sad, and maybe there should be no deaths, but this is how war happens. This is how it goes. This war was not started by Israel, by the way. It was just started by Hamas, by the attack.
And if you have a big Hamas attack, a total bloodbath, then unless you're insane, you'd have to say that Israel has a right to defend itself against that sort of thing. How do you do that? By destroying Hamas. How do you destroy Hamas when Hamas is hiding among civilians? Well, you're going to have some civilian casualties. If they are actually anywhere near this 2-to-1 ratio, that is seriously impressive, and I have absolutely no clue what someone could complain about as far as people who actually understand. Oh yes, it is horrible when this civilian dies in this bombing and so on, but that sort of thing happens in wars.
Yeah, here is another list of several conflicts and wars where they show different ratios. The Korean War has a very high one, 74% civilian compared to compared to military. Vietnam War has like a 46%. Persian Gulf War has a very high civilian death ratio, it's 87, 88. So maybe Mohammed Hijab should be complaining about that. If we turn those into into the same format, it would be better to have that instead of having percentages here. I'm just realizing that the Afghanistan war was very, very clean. Like, look at that. 113,000 military deaths, 43,000 civilian deaths. So only 28% civilian deaths. But in general, you can see that there is an overall, like it fluctuates. It is different in every war. In some wars, it is much easier to target combatants. In other wars, it is much more difficult to target combatants without killing civilians. But it looks like, I mean, anyone can see, if you just look on a map, if you just look at photos of a city in Gaza, it will be very, very difficult to bomb or to target, to hit certain targets in Gaza and not harm civilians. And on top of that, the fact that also Israel repeatedly warned to evacuate certain areas and go to safer areas, but people just didn't do that, or Hamas didn't allow them to do that, and Hamas didn't build any shelters, didn't build any means for protection for these people. The numbers seem very, very good, but again, as said, I can't take this at face value. I can't trust it as it is right now. But if we are to take their word, which Mohammed Hijab did before, then this is very good.
And this guy was even being sort of tentative with how he's describing it, saying, yes, these are the reports. We'll have to see if this, if it actually turns out to be the case. But he's pointing out that, if it's anything in that ballpark, that is really, really impressive. By the way, some of those statistics you were putting up, it looks like they only factor in like people who are actually killed by bullets or bombs, because like the number of deaths in Yemen is way higher than that, but it's due to things like starvation as a result of the war. But I know the numbers are way higher for like Yemen and so on. So looks like they're only factoring in like people who are actually killed by soldiers, bombs, and bullets and so on.
Yeah. I'm also
in other words, way more civilians have died in those statistics about Yemen and so on. It's just not directly killed by soldiers.
It's also interesting that when we talk about the Israel, bombing civilians, or Israel killing civilians, or Israel being so extremely bad that they have this very high civilian casualty ratio compared to other conflicts, as Mohammed Hijab just claimed, for example, in that video that we watched. We can go back to the two other wars, and we have the CNN source which actually reported this whole. Which reported about these numbers. They also quote the United Nations and say, during the 50 days of hostilities in Gaza in 2014, 2,251 Palestinians were killed, of whom 1,462 were believed to be civilians, according to the United Nations. That equates to a ratio of 1.8 civilians for every non-civilian, which is a very good number. Which is a very, I don't want to say good, but which is a very average, a very normal number.
Yeah, you don't want to say good because you don't want to say that people getting killed is good. But I would say in that area, a densely populated area where, again, the terrorists want to maximize civilian deaths. That's surgical, man. That is Israel is sending in surgeons to fight their wars if they're getting these kinds of numbers.
I also there is a report about how Israel is using an AI system which finds targets and automatically directs airstrikes on those, trying to reduce civilian casualties as much as possible. But again, those who say they're just killing civilians, they're just bombing the cities, this is just genocide, I'm sorry, but according to these numbers, this is not a genocide. According to these numbers, this is a very regular war that Israel wages. According to these numbers, in 2014, they waged a very irregular war, and under very impressive, circumstances, had a ratio of 1.8 civilians for every non-civilian, which is comparable to regular normal conflicts that happen around the world. So nobody can genuinely really accuse Israel here of committing a genocide. That is ridiculous. That is completely absurd. Clearly, there is no targeting of overwhelming numbers of civilians going on here compared to combatants.
And it would mean that Israel's method is incredibly effective as far as warning people ahead of time. Hey, there is a Hamas target right there. You need to get out. If you are not Hamas, you need to get out of there. It means they are incredibly effective at minimizing civilian deaths. And so, the criticisms would, if again, you and I are in the same ballpark in that we're going to have to see some additional evidence of the actual numbers for the actual ratios. But given what you just put up from a previous conflict in 2014, and then the reports that are coming out now, that is I mean, how do you condemn them for that?
I know, right? And there are some sources already saying, how dare Israel say this is okay? But I'm sorry, nobody says killing civilians is okay. The guy here doesn't say it's okay. He obviously says it's sad, but this is a normal number. Let's see what else is being said here.
But what I want to say is that we will get those figures out, and they will be official and on record by the IDF with the name behind it. And then we will be able to say and to back up afterwards with names and numbers that we are indeed targeting the terrorists. We are not after the civilians, and we are going into great efforts in order to keep it that way. And
it is, of course, hard to comprehend 2 for 1. But when you say you're going to great efforts, Colonel, one of those efforts is those IDF directions, which I don't know when you actually plugged in, but I had shared with anyone watching at the top of the show the directions for evacuation that you've put out.
What you spoke about.
All right, so you know there's the QR code, right? And then if you click on, can't right now because there's a blackout. But if you,
what was that?
And then if you click on, can't right now because.
Do you see the low quality of CNN broadcasting here?
As there's a blackout. But if you were to click on it and you were to see where to go in this urban area, tiny little parcels, block by block, numbers, I suppose, it's hard to even read it.
This is the interesting thing. They are now going to bring up the fact that Israel gives people in Gaza a way to evacuate by, scanning the QR code and finding a way. But how do you expect this when there's a blackout and people can't use anything? They don't have electricity and all of that. It's very interesting. Did you notice recently on whichever video, whenever there was a video of hostages released, there would be hundreds of regular Gazans staying around, and there's something that you can notice there on those videos. Those people are holding phones and recording what's going on. So
and there's footage. There's like 20 different camera angles of every after every bombing and so on. So I mean, they've got full Hollywood level productions going on as far as all their sending out information. So I don't know. Seems like there's some power somewhere.
There is big power. Maybe it's the power of love. I don't know. Let's see.
How do you really expect anybody to get that, to click on it, to see it, which they can't do right now, again, because the blackout, and then to follow the directions and to get somewhere safely? I mean, is that reasonable?
Yes.
I think, Aaron, that it may not be perfect, but it is the best thing that we can do.
Good response, by the way.
Weeks, we have designated a humanitarian zone, and we have been asking civilians to go there. Unfortunately, civilians, for various reasons, because they're under the control of Hamas, because international aid organizations have channeled them there, many other reasons, have not yet gone to the humanitarian zone, which I think is very unfortunate. The reason why we made that or designated that humanitarian zone is because it's one of the few areas where Hamas isn't embedded above and below ground, and therefore a relatively safe area, because we would have no interest in fighting there because Hamas isn't there. And that's what we've been asking all along. The attempt, or what you showed on the map, and I can agree that it's not perfect, but by the way, I contest the fact that there's a blackout, because I saw lots of cameras out when our hostages were being returned, and I saw lots of live footage.
Exactly. He brought up the very, very same thing that I had in my mind. They also dropped pamphlets, by the way.
Yeah, and he made a really good point, because she's like, well, what about this? What about how is this going to even work? And how are people going to? And he's pointing out, look, yes, it's not perfect. This is not a perfect situation. This is the best we can do, and that's sort of the thing that's been coming up with us since the beginning of all this. Is yes, it's going to be a mess, and yes, there's going to be a lot of messed up stuff that happens. What is the alternative? What do you expect them to do? Because what is she actually saying? If she says it's that warning the people, giving them a code to find out where they're going to go, dropping pamphlets on them, giving them warnings and so on, and telling them to get to zones where Hamas is not embedded, because they're going wherever Hamas is embedded, those are going to be the areas they're going after. Like, if that's not enough, what in the name of common sense are you saying? It sounds like you're saying, just let them go. Just leave them alone. Just leave Hamas. Hey, Hamas is, and that's what's come up in other contexts as well. What are you guys saying? Are you saying that if a bunch of terrorists come and kill a bunch of your people and then they run and hide among civilians, you just have to put your hands up and say, nope, there's nothing we can do here? and just keep letting them launch terrorist attacks? Is that what people are saying? Because other than that, I don't know what you're supposed to do differently.
Yeah. So, some people put together a little video here also to respond to this point. This is from a Telegram channel called The Slaughter 710, which documents a lot of stuff that happened on October 7th.
Just wanted to ask you very quickly about that digital map. You're telling people where is going to be targeted next. People don't have power to power up their mobile phones. They haven't got Wi-Fi.
Now, by the way, notice this, because you have to say, okay, with all the bombings and so on, there are probably lots of people who don't have power for their phones and so on. If someone in the area has power for their phone, look at this. If someone in an area has power to their phones, that person can get the info and warn the people around him, right? It doesn't look like, even if you want to say, okay, let's suppose 80% of these people here don't have phones. If 20% of the people in an area have access to this information about what's going to be bombed, that seems like plenty to get the word out and say, we need to get out of here. And again, if the IDF's statistics are anywhere in the ballpark of being accurate, their method is incredibly effective. I would say their method is incredibly effective at protecting civilian lives.
You know what's funny? This footage here, which just shows that there is no lack of power at all. This footage is published by Hamas. So if they want to do the whole propaganda, they are publishing footage that directly disproves that propaganda point.
Dummies.
Yeah, idiots. Yeah.
That would be like me doing this live stream right now, saying, AP, we're doing this live stream, but it really sucks where I'm at. We're in a total blackout area. We got no power at all where I'm from. Yep, nothing. Yeah. We got nothing.
That's true.
But anyway, let's continue our live stream.
Yes. I don't have any power either, by the way. I have no internet connection.
Got no internet access. We got nothing, AP. We got nothing. We got no power, no lights, no camera, no internet, no cell phone. We got nothing here, man. It sucks. It sucks being where I'm at right now.
I'm completely in the dark here too. Yeah.
Well,
terrible.
Well, tonight though there is. I was actually going to interview the spokesperson for the Red Cross. We were unable to get communications, Colonel, for 45 minutes.
Yeah,
I mean, there is a widespread blackout tonight.
You know what's ridiculous? You have so I don't want to sit here and just defend everything they do, but these expectations are just incredibly ridiculous. You have the IDF, Israel, declaring war on the other side after being subjected to a very brutal, the most brutal terrorist attack, where 1,000 people were killed in one day on the streets, in Israeli streets within Israel. Israel declares war, then announces that they are going to bomb, then makes, by the way, these little blasts, which are roof knocking blasts to let the people in the area know that an airstrike is about to come, right? And then they drop leaflets. They make multiple announcements in different languages, in Arabic and in English, and say repeatedly, leave the north, leave the north, leave the north, go to southern places. No place is safe, but that place is safer than the north at the moment. There's going to be heavy fighting. You're going to be targeted, and so on. And on top of that, also provides people with with paths to flee, and gives them these QR codes from which they can access 24/7, guides on where to go. But then the complaint is, how do you expect people to flee when when they don't have electricity? What exactly do you expect from the opponent, from the opposing country here, which was just targeted from your side? What else do you expect from this country that is at war with you? Isn't that enough? I'm sorry, people shouldn't die, people shouldn't suffer, yes, but isn't that enough? If Israel was everything that the other side always says they are, they would do none of these things. They would just start bombing indifferently, without discrimination, every single spot in the Gaza Strip, and they would be done with it. They wouldn't go to all
And
of these lengths for all these efforts.
You pointed it out, like, I kind of joke around when someone says something and I point out anti-Semitism. I'm kind of making fun of how Islamophobia is used, where you can't actually criticize something without being accused of having this bias. So yes, just to be clear, Israel will do all sorts of things that I think are messed up and stuff. But I also understand these things happen in wars. You don't always go on perfect information, and you have to make judgment calls, and sometimes things really turn out bad. I think that's going to be the case in pretty much any war. Wars can be messy. But as far as the expectations are, I mean, this woman is sitting here. Oh, you're sitting here notifying, you're giving people notifications by codes and stuff, telling them where they can go, that they will be safe. And you're raining down pamphlets, giving them information, and still civilians are being killed here. How can you live like this? How can you live with yourselves? And it's like, what other group on the planet would you hold to this standard? Name another group. Name another group anywhere on the planet that you would be holding to this standard. There is precisely one group that you will hold to this standard. And so that's where it comes in. It's like, what is the explanation other than anti-Semitism? Right. So again, I kind of toss it around like Islamophobia just to show people what it's like. But what is the alternative explanation here, where you've got this one group on this one little tiny piece of land? They're surrounded by people who want to destroy them. They're subject to a horrible terrorist attack. They respond as carefully and methodologically careful as they can. And all you do is blast them for not doing, like, what are they actually supposed to do apart from what they're doing? And the actual takeaway is there's nothing they could do that you would not condemn them for. Anything they do, you'll condemn them for. And so what is the explanation? It just sounds like you hate Israel and you hate Jews. That's what it sounds like to me. Pretty
much. What's interesting is also the whole like recently this whole Al Shifa hospital was under was at the center of discussions, and there were lots of campaigns about how Israel is going to destroy it. They're going to cause all the people in there to die. They're going to cause babies to die and this and that. Israel, I would say it wasn't ideal, but Israel did actually say they would help evacuate, the babies, and they actually did go in there and help evacuate and transport, babies and others to Egypt, for example, from the hospital. It always goes like this, that where they are accusing Israel of committing severe atrocities. Israel doesn't do them, but then they just expect more. And it's just always to the next accusation, to the next accusation, to the next accusation. Endless expectations from Israel, and people will just not be satisfied with whatever they get from Israel. And I'm going to say it again, and this might sound harsh, but Israel, when it was formed in 1948, was formed in the middle of a civil war that was started by the Arab side because they didn't want to accept that Jews would have a land in the region besides them. They terrorized the Zionist movement. Israel formed itself. After Israel formed, they got help from the surrounding Arab states and attacked Israel. Israel then took more than they initially were meant to have. And since then, for 80 years, there were attacks again and again and again and again. And Israel has been defensive for most of the time. And they could have taken Gaza a very long time ago and could have expelled the entire population of Gaza and populated it all with Jews, with Israelis. They didn't do that. If you say that if Israel was really remotely as bad as people claim, they could have done that, and they would have done that a long time ago. They were in full control of Gaza, which they occupied after defending themselves. They could have expelled the population, got rid of them, and never took them back. But no, they occupied Gaza And then finally, in 2005, they said, "Okay, we are completely out of here. Show us how you can how you can manage yourselves." They didn't have to do this, and look where we are. Still, Israel has to give more and more and more and more and more, because this is not about land. It's not about justice. It's not about anything. It's about the fact that Israel is a Jewish state, and that these people don't want a Jewish state to exist. That's all. They don't like it.
Seen the spokesperson of UNICEF on CNN and every other living network, and I think that there isn't really such a blackout, because evidently he has service and many others have, and there's video coming out. Listen, I understand that it's not perfect, but this is what we are trying to do. We're trying to reach out to Palestinians. We're trying to inform them ahead of time where fighting is going to be, in order for them to be able to take precautions and move from where there's going to be fighting. I don't know how else we can square that circle of defeating Hamas where Hamas is and minimizing civilian casualties. If anybody with military experience has an idea, we're open for suggestions, but it has to square in defeating Hamas, not seizing operations and letting Hamas win, but defeating Hamas and minimizing collateral or damage to civilians.
Colonel,
what an awesome response there from him, right?
Yes, yes.
Okay, if you know something better, and these guys always leave it open. Do you have something better? Do you have some way of improving what we're doing that isn't going to stop us from taking out Hamas? Do you have a better option of how we're doing it? Because we're doing every single thing we possibly can while insisting that we are going to destroy Hamas. If you have a better way of doing this than what we're doing, please let me know. No one ever answers that question. Well, if they do, it's in like a unicorn type fantasy of, oh, you just go in there and you go man to man, and then you just kill the terrorist who's hiding behind the baby with, precision, accuracy, sniper rifle. You miss the kid he's hiding behind and just hit him in the head, and total, not how it works at all. But I mean, they're pointing it out. What else can we possibly do? I don't see anything to this day. I don't see anything that they could possibly be doing differently in terms of overall strategy. You can say, hey, they shouldn't have, dropped this bomb here or there. But in terms of overall strategy, informing everyone as much as they can, telling people where to go so that they're going to be safe, and going down and taking out Hamas. What are people saying? What are people telling them to do other than just saying, let Hamas keep attacking you and do nothing in response?
That's what is basically being said from the very beginning. It is Israel is attacked. Israel begins responding, and as soon as Israel is attacked, people are like, okay, ceasefire. Okay, let's ceasefire. That's not how it works. You know what? In my honest opinion, if Israel within the first few days or within the first few weeks completely carpet bombed Gaza in response to the terrorist attack, they could have gotten away with it, in my opinion. So, I don't know, I'm underestimating the global response, and I'm not saying at all that this is what should have been done. I'm saying if Israel was that bad, and if they really were that careless about the civilian lives in response to that attack, they could have they could have responded with a massive attack, and they probably would have gotten away with it. They didn't. Instead, they waited for weeks and made announcements and slowly operated. And this is apparently nothing is good enough. Giovanni Garcia says, "Praise Allah, the infamous ham hoarder. All ham to Allah." That's smart. Very stupid, but very smart as well.
Just what we've come to expect from Giovanni Garcia.
This is very stupid, but very smart at the same time. Giovanni Garcia said, "AP, we love you, even though you're a godless heathen." Thank you. You love me because I'm a godless heathen. Captain
Golden Shower.
Captain Golden Shower said, "Indeed, Allah golden showers his blessings upon the Prophet, and his angels pray for him." Al-Azab 56. Can't have a serious stream here. Giovanni Garcia said, AP, why do Muslims wear those towels on their heads? Is it like a Jew-hating thing? Like they wear them to be like, you see, your head, it is so small, it is small, ours is big. No, it could be interesting if that was the case, but it's just something that they copied from Jewish behavior and from other behaviors. And wearing something big on your head in the Middle East is probably often ideal, especially in very hot environments. You don't want to get your head burned and aching and spend your life in pain. It's just an acquired weird thing. I don't think it's necessarily about hating. Beards are about hating the others, but heads are not. Drawing Facts said, can you explain secular humanism? David, do you want to explain your religion, secular humanism, in one sentence?
Yeah, it's let's keep specific values that used to have a foundation, knock out the foundation, and then pretend that we can have the same values.
Something like that. Or you could just say it is a combination of the humanist idea and secular values, although it is kind of detached from humanist ideas. It is more a quite new system of being non-religious and having no religious rules, no religious influence on morals and laws, whilst protecting people's rights and advocating for advancement. But it is very vaguely described by very different people. There is a manifesto. There are different people who state it differently. If you look it up, you will probably get a better idea than asking me or even asking David, especially that. Yeah. Sergey said, gözler anusun deri kayışıdır ve göz uyurken deri kayış gevşer. This is very funny. This is a literal Turkish translation of that hadith, which is the eyes of the lettuce strap of the anus.
Oh, now everyone's got it in Turkish.
Yeah, that's funny.
Now we have the wisdom. We've got the hikmah. We've got the hikmah in Turkish now.
Alhamdulillah. Anyway, let's go.
That has been going on the past few hours, and the Red Cross was there earlier. There was video earlier. Then and that's actually why we had the interview scheduled with the Red Cross. Then the blackout affecting most of Gaza has been in effect. Do you know if it's been resolved? Do you know why it's in place?
I am not aware of a blackout. I am aware of problems with coverage in local areas. There have been reports of it, but I see live streaming by Palestinian propagandists from various areas, including from 20 minutes ago. I watched it live of a very known, notorious Palestinian propagandist. He was live on TikTok. So there is Wi-Fi. Maybe it's not specifically with the Red Cross that you were speaking with, but I am factually aware that there is live internet services in Gaza.
I wonder which Palestinian person that was. Was that like that one guy, Mr. FAFO? I'm wondering.
Yeah, well, it's just funny. Like he's pointing out, look, every time there's a hostage release, there's like 50 people standing around with phones recording, and they're constantly releasing footage to the rest of the world. Doesn't seem like they are completely in a blackout type situation. And her response is, well, yeah, because I talked to I got into contact with a Red Cross guy, and he took 45 minutes because notice this guy had a problem. Therefore, there is this blackout that you say doesn't exist simply because there are people with phones all over the place.
Precisely. Very precisely. Now let's look at.
Hey, you know what's dumb?
Perfect. And not
yes,
I know what's dumb.
Islam. No, what's dumb?
We're talking about hikmah and then Turkish, and then I thought of a character called Major Hikmah, and and then I remember this entire YouTube series I had in my head. It was called Captain Freedom, and it was about a captain in the Revolutionary War. When they're crossing the Delaware, they get caught in ice, and he has to dive into the ice to loosen the boat for the Americans, and he gets frozen, and he gets thawed out later, and he becomes a superhero called Captain Freedom. to fight against his nemesis, who are General Sharia and Major Takia. And anyway, and he's going to have a sidekick called Liberty Boy, and eventually his team is going to expand to Captain Freedom and the Freedom Five. Like, so this is before John McCrae, but he would have to play Chocolate Justice. I had all these characters and stuff, and then General Sharia and Major Takia and all the stuff they're fighting him out. And it turns out that women in burqas are actually ninja soldiers and stuff, but they always fall in love with Captain Freedom whenever they encounter him, so they convert to his side. Anyway, I had this entire thing and I never recorded it. That's funny.
You should
brought
do
it back
that.
to my mind.
You should write it all down and record it.
This must have been like 2010 or something that I thought of this, because that was a while back.
Wow. Now look at this. We go back to the conflict here. The Hamas attack on Israel happened on October 7. It is on October 14. We had the report that IDF says it's completing preparations to strike Gaza from air, sea, and land. And meanwhile, they issued evacuation orders and asked people in Gaza to evacuate. I believe this is you can find the actual evacuation of Palestinian civilians. Since Friday, the army has been urging Palestinians in the northern Gaza to evacuate. So they gave a week after the terrorist attack happened. IDF was still in preparations and was meanwhile telling the people in Gaza to evacuate the northern part, to go to the south, to a safer part. And yes, people say, where should they go? No place is safe. We know no place is safe. It's war. They say go to a safer part, where you will not be the target of major airstrikes. But here they are 1 week, not immediately, 1 week after the attack, they are still preparing. And they started with the initial airstrikes, the major airstrikes on October 17. So 10 days after the terrorist airstrike. Imagine the Israeli army waited for a week, gave people 10 days time to prepare for what is coming, for the airstrikes. And meanwhile, by the way, Hamas told the civilians not to evacuate, to stay in their places, not to leave. So who really is at fault here for what happened?
You pointed out Israel could have defended itself for being much more brutal. They could have said something like, guys, they could have said at the very beginning, guys, we're giving you 3 days to get out of there. You figure it out. You figure it out with Egypt or with other nations. You figure out what's going to. We're giving you 3 days, and we're bombing it down to nothing to get Hamas. So you figure out what to do about that. They could have. In fact, I mean, we've pointed out before, if you're talking about how Muhammad treated Jewish tribes and so on, they would have been entirely justified in, according to Islam, going in there, slaughtering everyone who's reached puberty and taking the young people as their slaves and so on, according to Muhammad. So however you look at this, I just don't know what to do. They're being as careful as they can. Yes, there are messed up things. That's what messed up things happen when you drop bombs on populations and so on. So bad things are going to happen. But if you've got it in your mind, we have to stop Hamas, because we cannot allow this sort of thing to happen again. There was a time when you say, okay, fences are working pretty well. We do not need to be too worried about Hamas. Now, if they're going over, under, and through every barrier that you put up, you just got to deal with them. What else are you supposed to do? I don't know.
People were even complaining that they are telling civilians to evacuate. And what exactly do you expect? It's like, how dare they ask them to evacuate? Where should they go? Well, it is a war. This is not the first war we have seen. It's not the first war we have experienced.
Not 5G Manhattan speed, but there definitely is international internet service.
All right. Well, Colonel Conricus, I appreciate your time. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you. for having me.
This guy is very, very good in his responses. I believe, as far as I'm aware, with his his deal or his role at the IDF, I think he was he retired practically, and he was about to leave. But with the beginning of this conflict, he was called back to do one final job and become the main IDF spokesperson. And they told him that once he is done with this, finally he will be done with his career and he will nicely retire. So he is saying the very same thing. He's here to do one final job and then to retire. I would bet that they specifically wanted him back because he is a good representative, right? A good spokesperson.
By the way, we need to get some of these IDF uniforms and we can wear them in live streams when we're discussing. That'd be kind of cool, wouldn't it? We'd look super official while we're discussing this stuff if we had that.
Yes.
Just saying.
Yes. By the way, here's something interesting.
You see what I'm saying? Imagine me wearing that while we're talking right now.
Yes, with Israel flags in the back. Yeah.
Listen carefully. This is an urgent military advisory from the Israel Defense Forces. For your immediate safety, we urge all residents of northern Gaza and Gaza City to temporarily relocate south. Let me repeat. We urge all residents of northern Gaza and Gaza City to relocate south immediately. This is a temporary measure. Moving back to northern Gaza will be possible once the intense hostilities end. Hamas puts your life in danger by placing weapons and forces within civilians' area in Gaza, including schools, mosques, and hospitals. The impending IDF operation is set to neutralize these threats of Hamas with precision and intensity. Humanity remains haunted by the massacre unleashed by Hamas on October 7th, a massacre of innocent lives. Israeli men, women, children, and babies were beheaded, executed, raped, and burnt alive. We won't forget that. And the kidnapping of over 200 Israelis, we will not forget. To the residents of northern Gaza and Gaza City, your window to act is closing. Move south. For your own safety, move south. This is not a mere precaution. It is an urgent plea for the safety of the civilians in Gaza.
Does this sound like they just want to kill as many Gazans as possible? Or does it sound like they're putting great efforts into preventing just that? Let's say they don't have good intentions, right? Let's say they don't actually care about the civilians. I can grant you that. You can assume that Israel doesn't actually care about the civilians. They're just doing this for show, right? Let's say they're just doing this for show. They don't give a crap about the civilians. Even if that is true, you literally have them here repeatedly again and again and again and again telling you that they're going to strike, telling you to get out. Even if they are not genuine, you have the actual chance to listen to that, or your own side has the actual chance to listen to that and to make it happen.
And think about it, for days. I mean, they'll tell them with plenty of time in advance, hey, get out of there, head south. And the response we get, how are people supposed to head south? How is it even? Okay. I feel like they need to include instructions. Okay. Whatever room you're in, look over and find the door, right? Okay. Go over there, find the door, then walk outside. See that big hot ball in the sky? See where that thing is going down. All right. Based on that, you can figure out where south and just start walking that way, or bicycle, or however you want to do it. Just start heading south. That's all you have to do. And then you won't get bombed. Now you might have to deal with Hamas if they don't want you to leave. But this isn't terror. I feel like right now someone could message me, hey, David, we're going to drop some bombs on your neighborhood. Better head south. I'm pretty sure I could figure out those instructions.
Hey, you should get in touch with this IDF spokesperson. He asked for recommendations to handle this better. You could give him your idea of how you just described it. That could be helpful.
Because apparently the entire population of northern Gaza does not know how to walk down a street. Matter of fact, you've seen the beach, right? You've seen the beach. Okay, guys, you guys know where the beach is? You know where the beach is? Go out to the beach. Walk, if you're in the north, walk over to the beach and turn left and walk down the sand for a while. Just keep walking down the sand. And then you don't get bombed.
Yeah. 5,000 Hamas fighters been killed. So they say so far thousands.
No, 60. Guys, so notice how many did they say?
Yeah, around 5,000. No, 60.
5,000. Hijab says it's 60 because it said 60 commanders. And he said so only 60 Hamas fighters, period, died. We're talking thousands. This is how dumb the main Dawa guy is. And it's why he's so popular. Because the dumber you are, the more deceptive you are, the more popular you become in Dawa.
That is absolutely true. Truer words have never been spoken. And by the way, if you live in a war zone and if you have a government that is repeatedly fighting and provoking the other side to get into war with you, it is probably the responsibility of your own government to make sure that you can hide and you can be safe if an all-out war breaks out. You shouldn't expect. Look, for example, if I'm in America and America somehow attacks Canada for some weird reason, and Canada is like, "Wow, this is enough is enough." You know, we are being attacked.
Wouldn't have to be a weird. Wouldn't have to be a weird reason. I can think of all sorts of reasons to attack Canada. But go ahead.
And Canada then started bombing, all kinds of places in America. It would be stupid of me to expect that they should, prevent us civilians from dying. It would be expected that you tell your own government, because it's their responsibility, to make sure that you as a citizen are safe. Now listen to this. Or read, whatever you want to do. Very fancy memory, I get it. Very fancy. So this is a Hamas political bureau spokesperson.
البعض يتساءل وهذا سؤال رائج وشائع يعني من قام بتشييد 500 كيلومتر من الأنفاق لماذا لم يشيد مآوي يلجأ إليها المدنيون خلال القصف؟
The question is very clear. You have built hundreds of kilometers of tunnels. Nobody's denying it. Great job.
Yeah.
Why didn't you build shelters for where civilians can hide during bombardments? That's the question.
And think about why that's important, right? When Hamas starts sending missiles over to Israel, the Israelis have all these bunkers where they can go and be safe, right? Yes. They have all these bunkers. And so you'd think, okay, Hamas keeps complaining about Israel dropping bombs and killing civilians. Wait a minute. You guys are apparently the all-time champions at building underground tunnels and bunkers and so on. So why don't you take some of this amazing Hamas ingenuity and build a bunch of bunkers to keep the civilians safe, and then no one dies? When Israel's going to launch a bomb, you guys can take the civilians and hide them. It makes sense, right? I mean, it makes sense. It's not like, oh, we're incapable of building tunnels and bunkers. We know you guys are world champions at building tunnels. You're some of the best in the universe. Why aren't you building some safe places for the Palestinians?
Even better, in Israel, I think it is now the law that in every newly built residential Israeli home, in every residential Israeli building, there needs to be a safe room where people can go and hide in case they can't reach the nearest bomb shelter. And this is because they are living in the middle of a very dangerous zone where Hamas attacks or could invade. Well, lots of people, when Hamas actually broke into Israel and attacked these communities, these kibbutz, lots of people living there went into safe rooms and tried to hide there. Some people, nevertheless, didn't make it. Other people got away by going into those safe rooms. So Israel is living in the middle of this, and they are making sure that everyone has the needs to find a place to flee and to hide in case things go bad. Hamas is at the center. Hamas is the main cause that things are this bad right now, because they refused to make peace in 2007. They repeatedly fire bombs, fire rockets, but they didn't put any effort with the means they had into saving their own population and keeping them, protecting their own population and keeping them safe. They obviously have the means. Hence the question here. You built hundreds of kilometers of tunnels. That's not an easy job. So why didn't you build shelters for the population? They clearly have the means.
نحن شيدنا الأنفاق لأنه لا نملك ما ندفع به عن أنفسنا من القتل والاستهداف.
They built the tunnels for their own protection, to have a place to hide when Israel attacks from the sky with airplanes and airstrikes.
هذه الأنفاق من أجل أن نحمي أنفسنا من الطائرات، نحمي مقاتلين من الأنفاق. أما القطاع غزة فأنت تعلم والجميع يعلم بأنه 75% منه لاجئين، واللاجئين هو مسؤولية الأمم المتحدة في حمايتهم.
So we built the tunnels to protect ourselves because we are fighting from there and we don't want to be targeted by Israel. As for the population here, everyone knows that 75% of Gaza population are refugees, and this refugee status is a very arbitrary one. They live there all their lives. They are born there, but they are considered refugees because of this idea that they might, in some hypothetical future, which will probably never happen, go back and reclaim their land. They are considered refugees, and he says it is basically not our job to protect them. It is the job of the United Nations.
مسؤولية الاحتلال في أن يقدم كل تبعا لاتفاقية جنيف الدولية أن يقدم لهم كل الخدمات وهم تحت الاحتلال.
It is the responsibility of the United Nations and the occupation to protect the civilians that we are in charge. So the guy is basically saying, I don't care, it's their job, not ours.
Yeah, that's what's hilarious. It's Hamas is voted into power by the people of Gaza to be the leaders. And these guys are saying it's everyone else's responsibility but ours to take care of these people. It's not our job. It's everyone else's job. It's other nations' job. It's Israel's job. It's everyone else's job, but it's not our job to protect the people who voted us into power. But I mean, just think about how crazy it is to say, hey, we're building these shelters and tunnels and so on just for ourselves, just for our soldiers, not for actual civilians. I mean, imagine any other nation or whatever doing this. Imagine Israel doing this. Imagine the IDF saying, yeah, we're only building these bunkers for IDF soldiers. Everyone else just has to stay out there and die. Like everyone would condemn them. That's what Hamas is doing, and people are defending these guys.
The thing is also, Hamas receives massive funding from around the world. They receive funding from Qatar, from different countries, from different channels which want to channel their donations. They receive Israel, and lots of people have criticized the current government and Netanyahu severely. But Israel allowed funds from Qatar and other sources to go into Gaza because of this belief that might pacify the situation and reduce the number of terrorist attacks. So they clearly had the funds with which they built rockets, with which they made rockets, with which they built a huge network of tunnels. People specifically send funds over there for them to protect and to help the civilian population. Humans around the world send money because they think, oh no, these poor Palestinians, these poor Gazans, maybe I can help. They send funds over, And what does Hamas do with those funds? Instead of helping those poor Palestinians, those poor Gazans that people feel sad about, they say, okay, I don't care about the people. Let's build more tunnels for ourselves. That's literally what is happening here. Imagine, I don't understand why this is not more emphasized and highlighted. This guy here, literally in the name of Hamas, a chosen spokesperson, giving an interview to RT, literally says, when asked, you have the means, you build tunnels, why don't you build shelters for the civilians? He's like, it's not, we don't care, not our job. We just protect ourselves. We don't care about the civilians. It's not our job. It's their job.
So just going back,
could also be. I just want to finish. The response could also be, it is their job, but we will do whatever it takes to protect the civilians. No, their response is, it is their job. It's not our job. We don't give a crap.
And I was just comparing this with the standard that Israel is held to from earlier, right? Where it doesn't matter what you do. It doesn't matter if you've just been the victims of a massive terrorist attack and you're being as careful as possible, and you're notifying people via phone. And if they don't have phones, then you're raining down pamphlets on them, telling them where to go so that they can be safe. And none of this is justification at all. You're just horribly evil for trying to deal with the terrorist group that slaughtered hundreds of your people. And then you've got Hamas on the other side. What? Civilians? We don't care about those. We only care about our fighters. We want as many civilians to die as possible, because then we take all our phones, which are apparently run by magic since they still keep working, and that's what we're gonna do. And no one cares. No one cares how evil these guys are. It's just interesting. Like, I mean, again, you have Israel right here, and on the other side of a fence, you got Gaza, and the world holds them to absolutely different moral standards.
Yeah. Now we have this guy again with his big giant Zabiba on his forehead, with his
Zabiba,
big infection on his forehead.
It's just a rule: the bigger the Zabiba, the bigger the hikmah.
That's how you should, among religious Muslim people. That's what you do. How big is your Zabiba? My Zabiba is bigger than your Zabiba. You have a tiny Zabiba.
Yeah, they could have like a ruller out. Look, check it out. My Zabiba is 2 inches wide.
I have a huge Zabiba. Okay. You have a tiny one.
Then we'll make you the new caliph of the Ummah.
Here's Ghazi Hamas.
Hey, it should be. We need to make a video at some point, like who wants to be the next caliph, but there's the Zabiba challenge, and these guys are like banging their heads on crap all day long to get the biggest Zabiba.
that would be good comedy. Unfortunately, it's reality.
إسرائيل دولة لا مقام لها على أرضنا. إحنا الدولة لابد أن نزيلها، لأنه بالفعل هي تعتبر كارثة أمنية وعسكرية وسياسية للأمة العربية والإسلامية. يجب أن تنتهي.
This is so funny. Lots of people around the world say dumb stuff like, "Oh, Hamas, if they were treated better, if Israel, didn't do this and this, like they would be totally cool. They're just fighting in response." These guys here explicitly say Israel may not exist. They must be finished. We must destroy them. We cannot allow them to exist. And then some idiot around the world, somewhere across the world, is like, no, you're misunderstanding them. They just want to be treated fairly and nicely.
لذلك احنا لا نخجل من نقول ذلك بكل قوة، انه إسرائيل لازم نأدبها، وحنأدبها مرة ثانية وثالثة، ومش هذا حتكون طوفان الأقصى أول مرة، لا حتكون ثانية وثالثة ورابعة، لأنه احنا لدينا إصرار ولدينا قرار ولدينا إمكانيات أن نقاتل ونحارب، لكن كما قلت لك بدنا ندفع ثمن. نعم.
He says we will attack, we will do this again and again. He says, will we have to pay a price? Yes, and we are ready to pay it.
احنا مستعدين. معلش بدي أقول لك بشكل واضح، احنا اسمنا شعب الشهداء ونفخر أن نقدم شهداء. احنا لا نريد.
He says we are a nation of martyrs, and we are proud to sacrifice martyrs. This is their attitude. But when the martyrs are sacrificed, when they are slaughtered, then they're like, no, no, you see what's going on? You see what they're doing to us? No, help. I'm sorry, but I just don't get it. Like lots of people are still fooled by this. Maybe because they don't know, or maybe because they don't understand the mindset. But at this point, I don't buy a bit of it. I grew up with this nonsense here, and I don't buy it anymore.
وكان في سكان
أن ينتهي وين؟ بقطاع غزة؟
ينتهي إلى لا بتكلم عنه كل الأراضي الفلسطينية.
كل الأراضي الفلسطينية يعني زوال إسرائيل؟
طبعا.
زوال Israel, yeah, yes, all of it. All of Israel must be finished. It must be eradicated. It must be eradicated. Can you imagine can you imagine the injustice that is going on here? Look at this messed up injustice going on around here. This is oppression. There is this guy here with his hardcore zabiba on his forehead. He smashed his forehead. He hit the floor again and again and again. And now he has to sit in front of a literally naked woman here. And look her in the face. Instead of
He's not look at his eyes. He's not looking at her face, dude. Look at his eyes. Look at his eye level. He's looking at an angle.
Okay, well, maybe
he's looking downward.
Maybe
he's going. I got the zabiba, but she got the zabooba, huh? What's wrong with you, man? That's like the dumbest thing I've ever said in my life.
Man, that was good. That was good. That was very dumb, but very good as well. So, point in case, Israel finds out that they have a 2-to-1 civilian to combatant casualty.
Hey, 2-to-1, like my zabiba to your zabuba ratio. Ah!
Man. See, the quality of this live stream went down the drain.
Yeah.
Oh boy. Anyway, you heard it here. Mohammed Hijab's main problem with Israel is not that they are fighting; it's that they are killing 100 civilians for one Hamas combatant.
Every one Hamas, you have to kill 100 civilians. That's effectively what we're saying. If the trajectory continues as it is,
What is this? Who even does this? It's very funny. Like Rabbi Shmuley is kind of like a little bit concerned here. Look how he reacts.
Trajectory one Hamas, you have to kill 100 civilians. That's effectively what we're saying. If the trajectory continues as it is,
that's what one person is saying.
Continues as it is, then you have.
I find it so funny.
100-to-1 ratio. That's what one person is saying, and that one person just happens to be a person who cannot read a headline.
They say about 60 Hamas died, which we're being liberal by saying 100-to-1 figures. For every one Hamas, you have to kill 100 civilians. That's effectively what we're saying. If the trajectory continues as it is, then you have to kill 3 million Palestinian civilians in order to kill 30,000 Hamas fighters. If you want to extinguish them, eviscerate them, annihilate them, destroy them, you have to do that. Now you have Herzog, who is the president that you interviewed, saying that all Palestinians, they are responsible. This man is being more slippery. He's being more slippery than the lubricants that he sells in his daughter's sex shop. And that's the reality of the situation.
Did you really just say that?
You know why Hijab can't understand a simple headline? No Zabiba at all. Zero Zabiba on this guy, and he can't read a headline. Coincidence?
Actually, you know what, David? I have to disappoint you. Mohammed Hijab actually does have a little bit of a zabiba, but it looks like there's some heavy makeup on his face here, because his skin is not this smooth. I know that. So
maybe he's born with it. Maybe it's Maybelline. You're saying he's got a ton of makeup on?
Yeah, he has tons of makeup on here.
Maybe it's Maybelline.
Why did he allow them to conceal his Abiba, man? This is
because he's got more makeup on his face than his partner Ali Dawa has eyeliner and mascara around his eyes.
They were trying to come back into their country and they were not allowed. And then you asked them, is peace possible? That's not the question we'd be asking them. We'd be asking them, is justice possible? And that's the question that we're going to be asking. Because he can sit there and talk about all these things where the IDF, his son Mendy is being attacked vibrated by the rockets, and he's selling him and his daughter selling vibrators to the public.
Unnecessary thing in the end again.
I hope you keep...
Who the hell does this, man?
You're sick. You are sick.
He is sick. That is a sick dude.
Man. That's actually genuinely funny. Like, I could watch this a million times, just these parts here. And the thing is, I know it's very difficult to say, and maybe I should be ashamed to admit this, but this makes me like Mohammed Hijab. This makes me like watching Mohammed Hijab. Maybe he should just do this from now on. You know, he should go on shows where thousands of people watch him, and he should just drop these lines in the middle of serious discussions. It would be very entertaining. Maybe it's time for a career change. What do you say? And Mohammed Hijab, I know you're watching, because I recently chatted with you, and you admitted to me that you were watching our videos and live streams about you. I know you're watching this too, just so you know, David. So I would say I also asked you privately about this whole 100-to-1 ratio, which you have seen as false. You have misunderstood or misrepresented it. I asked you to clarify this. You ignored it. I now showed it to the public here, and we now see what the IDF says about this. So why are you waiting? Are you dishonest? Will you just accept lying to people, to millions, and just let it be like that? Or do you have some integrity? Do you maybe want to get up here and say, you know what, guys, I was wrong. I was wrong about that one thing that was the foundation of my entire argument on that show. Yeah. David, what do you say? Yes.
Well, I mean, what can you say in response to Hijab, man? I don't know. Maybe we just have to start acting like him at the end of the day. And like you were saying, go into any discussion and just start tossing around lines like this, especially if it's some sort of discussion involving hijabs. Like, oh, that response was golden, almost as golden as the showers that Mohammed Hijab wants to see other people rain down on other stuff, ridiculous stuff like that.
Oh, by the way, you know what's funny? This started trending today. This started going around, and excuse me for the very vulgar quote tweet by Tommy Robinson here. But
I think Tommy's been trolling Hijab today. I just saw another one where he's calling him out for dyeing his hair, because you can see some close-ups where he's got gray hair, and then you see other close-ups where his hair is dark. So
yeah, but hey, look at this though, about the Zabiba. Sorry, you can see here there's some darkness on his forehead here, and
that just seems like the shape of his forehead. Seems to
look at this ridiculous
indentation there.
Look at this ridiculous thing that's going on here. I can't believe this guy was making fun of people's heads' appearance.
It's like a Mr. Potato Head.
This is hilarious because he was making fun of people's. He was making fun of me, of other people for the shapes of their heads. And I'm looking at this, and I usually don't say this about anyone, but this just looks very funny to me. I don't know. Anyway, this was trending today.
Look at that eyeliner, though.
You don't think we have gangsters? We have Muslim gangsters as well. And when you go ahead and attack the sacred symbols of Islam, although our approach is not to do so, we can't stop the gangsters from dealing with you or anyone else. We can't stop the Muslim gangsters from dealing with you or anyone else. Just like if you go to Colombia and you speak about particular cartel in a specific manner, Go to their area and be a man and speak about them. You want free speech absolutism? Don't just deny the Holocaust. Mock it if you're a real man and see what happens to your career. How about black communities?
How about no?
I want to see.
How about no?
How strong you are. Free speech, Douglas, Gutless, Murray, and others like you. Why don't you speak about the black community in a racially insensitive way? And then go to Harlem or Detroit and see what happens to you. See if there's. So you don't think we have gangsters?
Islam is like the cartels. That's what he's saying. We already know this, but it's very interesting that he says it. Douglas Murray today commented on this again and said, "I'm very familiar with this mob tactic, but not sure the world's Muslims will appreciate this thug comparing them all to a Mexican drug cartel."
How strong you are.
Yeah.
Free speech, Douglas, Gutless, Murray, and others like you.
He's looking at his friend Ali Dawa over there and getting approval from Ali Dawa, which is very weird. Imagine being inspired by Ali Dawa and looking at him like this. David, did anyone ever look at you the way Mohammed Hijab looks at Ali Dawa here?
No, sadly.
Unfortunately. This is the primary reason for suffering in human existence. That's what we're dealing with.
Hey, look. I don't like threats of violence, but I got Mojab's sacred symbol here.
That's nice.
Oh, look, I'm a sacred symbol. Oh, look, we got our gangsters. We got our gangsters who are going to do something about you messing around with the sacred symbol. Oh, no. There's your thumbnail right there, AP. There's your thumbnail.
Why would you do that? Why would you do something so disrespectful?
I don't like these guys. Hey, we got our gangsters. We got our gangsters. Yeah.
I don't have any Qurans left because of this. I'm looking for Qurans. I don't have any Qurans left.
I got plenty, dude. You've destroyed all your Qurans.
I have to get new Qurans.
You've ripped up all your Quran. That's why you got to have like 20 Qurans sitting around so that this situation doesn't arise.
Oh wait, I found another one here. There's actually one more. Yeah, it was on the floor.
Oh, that's good.
It was on the floor. I probably stepped on it or something. No, it was back there on the floor somewhere. It was probably.
No, I mean, it's pretty standard to use a Quran as a footrest.
Yeah. It was here, and
yeah, people are pointing out that everyone needs to contribute to AP's Quran fund since we're running low on Qurans.
Yeah, should I?
Everyone be sure to give AP a super chat and let him know that it's for his Quran fund.
Actually, don't give a super chat if you're going to do that. Go on in the description and go on apostateprofit.com/donate. So you don't have to give most of it or some of it to YouTube. I need more Qurans. Help me get Qurans. Help me buy more Qurans, please. I beg you. I urge you, please help me so I can buy more Qurans, please. Anyway, yeah. So what else is new, David?
What else? Nothing.
What else nothing?
Oh no, got a video coming out tomorrow. Pretty dope. That's it.
Nice.
Dope video. My second favorite argument against Islam. For some reason, I was thinking about my favorite arguments against Islam, and my favorite is the Islamic dilemma. But I realized my second favorite argument against Islam is something I very rarely use. So I wanted to put it together for everyone because it's pretty devastating. But anyway, that'll be out in the morning. Channel members, they already have access to it. But yeah, it'll be out tomorrow morning. So everyone check that out.
That sounds like that will be the best thing the world has ever seen. And
it's pretty sexy.
D. Boudreau said, how many plainclothes fighters are counted as civilians? That's the question here. Because lots of people engaging in terrorist activities inside Gaza and those that came out of Gaza and went into Israel were also regular civilians, allegedly, who, however, were terrorists. So that's the problem. That's the problem. That's the big, big problem. Look at this here. Look at this footage here. Look at these guys. Look at this guy. This guy's just wearing a regular T-shirt and carrying an RPG with him, and about to shoot.
And that's the thing. You're dealing with guys who have machine guns and RPGs and so on. Notice if you were an IDF soldier and you knew where a couple of these guys were, you'd call in air support most likely if you could. Say, hey, they're over there. Drop a bomb on them over there. And then a civilian would die, and they would say, look, you're targeting civilians.
Yeah.
Or you hit a guy who's in plain clothes, and then you count him as a civilian.
Yeah. Imagine,
like you could hit this guy with the RPG. What's going to happen in the footage afterwards? Hamas is going to record this guy's dead body and say, look, another civilian dead.
Yeah, yeah. This is how it goes. This is a peaceful civilian. This is a peaceful civilian. This is what people do. And this is their own recording, by the way. They record themselves. With their this is like Hamas says, hey, we're going to do an operation today. Dress code casual. You can wear shirts. No need for uniforms. And this is how they go out there. That's what a Hamas party looks like. Giovanni Garcia said Mohammed Hijab appears as author on Google. What did he write the book on golden showers? I believe he actually did. I think he actually did write a book about golden showers, if I'm not mistaken. I have to check that. Arab Inc. said Israel's ratio was tremendous in the 2014 Gaza war as well. 1,300 militants versus 900 civilians. Yeah. The United Nations says it. So all of those arguments about Israel abundantly targeting civilians are just nonsense. And mind you, Hamas gives the numbers of people killed on their side, and they don't distinguish. They just say so many Palestinians died. That's all they say. So many died. They don't distinguish between Hamas and civilian because they are mixed, and civilians also help. Born Again Stefan made a super sticker, which I appreciate very much. Thank you. Giovanni Garcia said, did you guys see the debate between Mike Rutch and stop it, man, with Jana
you see the kind of people you have on your channel.
Giovanni Garcia is actually your fan. It came over to my channel because of you.
No, he's your biggest fan who goes over to my channel because you're there.
No, he even said, we love you, although you are a heathen or something like that. So it's your fan. Sorry to say.
He's just pointing out. He's just pointing out facts there. But yeah, you see the kind of fans you end up with.
Sake said, did you read Mossab's description of how post-war Gaza will look like that he posted on X yesterday? Basically a Mad Max tier, even more dystopian city. I haven't. His account was taken down earlier today. It was apparently gone for a few hours for security reasons or something like that. But it's back up now. So that's quite interesting. Oh, I see it right here. What is this? How post-war Gaza might look like. By then, most of Gaza's infrastructure will be destroyed. The post-war power transition will be the most dangerous and challenging period for the lack of governing authority. Unlike previous conflicts, this time Israel will not be obligated to provide any aid to Gaza. Donors will have a logistical problem in their effort to rebuild Gaza without Israel's support. Israel will not allow Gazan labor into its territory, which was the main pillar of the Gazan economy. Hamas hunt will continue for a long period without a permanent ceasefire. The fleeing forces of Hamas will have to pay their debt to their opponents in Gaza. Lack of local government, assassinations, tribal vengeance, disease, and extreme poverty could lead to a civil war. All credit goes to Hamas. Interesting.
I'm searching for him right now. He does not appear. It's like Tommy Robinson, and that I can search for it and it doesn't show up. I can actually... Wait a minute. How are you able to see this stuff?
But you don't know how to search, probably.
I can only find other people linking to his stuff.
I can also find other people. Michael Connor said, could Gazans be relocated to Iran? Sure, yeah. Sure, Iranians would be great fans of that. Huge.
No, if Muslim nations were willing, yes, they could easily take in the entire population of Gaza. They don't want them.
You know what's funny about in Jordan? It is thought that 50% or more of the population of Jordan, the neighboring country, is of Palestinian origin. So they have actually become a majority almost there, and they don't want Palestinians.
I understand it. I understand it for them, but you have all these other countries like Saudi Arabia and Iran, and you have all these other countries where they have tons and tons of land. Lots of them need workers and so on. So it would be very easy, and yep, they definitely don't want them.
No one does. Yeah. Somebody said something about local reject peace, one state solution, AP. Somebody said something about relocating or connecting Gaza. I can't find it anymore. Anyway, more. Sid Dave said, when was the last time Muslims won a war against non-Muslims? Must be in the 18th or 19th century. Seems like our lies run out of steam. That's a good question. Good question.
And sort of I've been wondering this as well. So you had Muslims around the world thinking that the terrorist attack on October 7th was some sort of decisive victory for Islam. And we're all sitting there going, guys, what do you think is going to really happen as a result of this? And then with all the students marching around the world and so on, they think, oh, that's really going to turn the tide there, not realizing these students don't really control anything and so on, and they all look stupid. But I get the impression that because of the avalanche of apostasy, you have all these guys dialing up their rhetoric, trying to flex on the entire world, and now's our last chance. We can't have Islam slowly dying out from the world. We have to make our stand now, crush everyone, impose Sharia. It looks like they're gonna make some move, and you just wonder what happens if they make their move. I mean, you've got all these posts by Mohammed Hijab. What if all the Muslim countries united? What then? Yeah, you'd get crushed. That's what would happen. But imagine that they made some power move right now in a state of desperation. They made some power move to try and take over and crush the kuffar. They would get crushed. But I'm just wondering what happens after they get crushed this next time. This doesn't look like they could have. Like, you'd have to wonder, do you seriously have plans of global conquest when you are clearly outmatched right now? You are clearly outmatched by the rest of the world, and your Islam is rotting and dying from within. I mean, it's been pointed out. It seems like over half the population of Iran no longer believes in Islam. How long can you keep this up? The only option is to actually impose Sharia by force, win some awesome victories. I don't see how you can do that. It seems like you're going to try and you're going to get crushed. Then what? What? Like, how do you, once your hopes have been dashed there, how do you maintain hope for the future?
Yes. Drunk Fact said, who are you voting for? My money is on Cenk Uygur. Yeah, I'm voting for Cenk Uygur, probably. You too, David, I bet. As far as I understand.
I've never voted in my life.
That means you're voting for Cenk Uygur. Chris Atkinson said, why are you stuttering, huh?
Why are you stuttering?
Allah put me on God's green earth to bully you. Oh boy, if I could deliver the dawah to your person, you would be humiliated. Alhamdulillah, alhamdulillah.
You're finished already. Look at me. Look at me. You know you're done.
Continue. Saint Constantine the Great said, also, you two better stay safe. God bless. I don't know what the rest means. I have no idea what it is. Never know.
No one stays as safe as we do. We play it safe.
We played very safe. Always very
safe. Keep that in mind.
Mesopotamian Surah said, God bless you both. Thank you. And you too. Saint Constantine the Great said, also day 3 of asking for Dilla Monkey versus Jay Dyer. Nope. That's a 5-hour debate. I can't do that. Dillahunty. It's Dillahunty.
I thought it was like 3 hours.
Same thing. 3 hours, 5 hours. Who cares? Dale Wolfie said, David and AP, on December 7th, you feel a hard slap while you're sleeping. And when you get up to kick me out of your house, I'm going to cry to everyone that you started it by putting your house there. What do you say about this, David?
Who's that responding to? Is that
It is saying, David and AP, on December 7th, you'll feel a hard slap while you're sleeping.
Yeah.
And when you get up to kick me out of your house,
what's the analogy here? What's the analogy here?
By putting your house out there. I guess.
Are we Israel? Are we Israel in this analogy? Maybe. So we're Israel, and then this person is Hamas showing up, and when we try to kick him out, then we're the bad guys.
Maybe it's the other way around. Maybe it's actually maybe we are Hamas or we are Palestine. We are Palestinians, and this person is Israel. And that person is slapping us, and we try to kick him out. And he, Israel, then cries and says, so why they started it? I don't know. In any case, interesting analogy. Mike Raj made a super chat and said, hello, AP. I'm your biggest fan and master at debaters. Huh. That's very interesting. Very interesting. Wow. Much respect to you, and I wish you good luck and more victory in your future debates, Mr. Raj. Thank you. John Troy said, the apostate of Allah said the nose. This is getting out of hand, man. See what Muhammad did. Muhammad did this. No, I didn't do it. Muhammad did this.
How do you not recognize what the sort of crowd of viewers that your live streams are drawing?
Muhammad did this.
And how does this not make you try to put together a more wholesome live stream? Sitting here talking about Zabubas and stuff like that, and then look what happened.
This man has real problems.
Robbie Anderson said, why do Muslims not believe their Quran that Isa, Jesus, even Yeshua was the word of God, but can't accept the Bible which says Jesus was God and the Messiah? Muslims are very confused. That's because Islam didn't spread by impressing people. It was spread by fighting and subjugating people, which is why you have them accept certain aspects of Christianity, which they adopted from Christian movements and sects and heretical groups here and there, while rejecting the rest. It's not because they accept a part of it, it's because they just accept all of it as a package without ever having thought about it collectively. That's the problem here.
Hey, Black Angel just photoshopped a picture for us.
That's cool.
On Twitter.
Demetrius Kalitsis said, can you make a video of outil possédé du jure principle? There is a great video by Eugene Kontorovich, professor of law at George Mason University. Should I send the link? I'd love your take on it. This is probably for you, David, not for me. Yes, you can send me the link on Twitter or X. I can have a look at that. Demetrius. SC Rocket XR1 says, I appreciate what you guys doing. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. Appreciate that. But it makes a good point. Sheikh Ibn Duin Yamhama said, IDF wants to save as many civilians as possible. Hamas wants Israel to kill as many civilians as possible. Idiots want to know why Israel is so evil. That's true. Idiots.
That name. There was a way back in the day. There was a Saturday Night Live sketch with Robert De Niro playing the leader of Homeland Security, and they were saying they were finally taking in terrorist. They were taking calls about possible terrorist sightings from high school and college students now, and all the names were like Huspin Fartine and but it was names, it was all names like that. They were supposedly getting them from college students, but that would be a fun one to review one day, because that was Saturday Night Live was actually funny.
That sounds good. Was it ever funny? I don't know. I watched several older ones and newer ones of it, and I just sit there the entire time and just curiously look at the screen, and that's it. Maybe I just don't get it. I don't get the humor. You Americans. Marisa Kennedy said, "Ask your doctor about camel urine." Yeah, this should be on the back of every camel urine bottle. Msema Msaki said, "AP, are you a naturalist, David Wood, dualist, or idealist?"
I would lean towards some form of dualism.
I would lean towards some form of naturalism. Giovanni Garcia said, "Then the last Zabiba guy comes in with his head bashed in and eyes coming out of his skull and just mumbles, 'Look at my Zabiba.'" Good. Nice.
Yeah, it seems like where it would go. I mean, if everyone's just striving for bigger and bigger Zabibas, these guys are like going to be bashing their own skulls in.
The Zabiba games. The Zabiba action. Brent Nunset said Islam is like the Borg from Star Trek. Yes.
I actually made a short. We are the Borg. Resistance is futile.
Futile, yeah. Okay.
Your technological something will be used to service us or something like that. But
I only know the one part, which is resistance is futile.
Yeah, I made a short video like under a minute. Bless you.
Sorry.
Made a short video like years ago where it was just the Kaaba, but Kaaba looks exactly like a Borg cube, and so it just starts zooming in on the Borg cube. But I have the audio from the Borg.
Nice. I never watched it. I only passively watched it sometimes. Human Shields Gigi Ryder said Human Shields proves that Hamas knows Israelis do care about human rights of Palestinian civilians. Human Shields is meaningless to the ruthless and inhumane, such as Hamas. Precisely. People like to talk a lot about whether there is what Hamas did on that day and how nicely they treated their victims, how nicely they treated their hostages, how nicely they treated the civilians. I want to show you two things briefly without making it very graphic and getting in trouble here. One of them is this. This is footage that started circulating.
היא לא נכנעת, היא נלחמת בהם, היא עושה הכל כדי לא להיחטף. באיזשהו שלב אפילו מפילה את אחד המחבלים, ולצערי מכים אותה.
But it starts from way later. Oh, yeah.
לצערי מכים אותה. את יכולה לראות עם מה יש לנו, עם מי אנחנו
They
מתמודדים.
have a captive here.
7 מפלצות מכים אישה אחת, אבל היא נחושה. היא לא נכנעת להם, עד שלבסוף הם נאלצו להכניס אותה לתוך המכונית, והכניסו אותה לעזה. הם משפחה שלהם, של עמית, חיכו 55 ימים, ולשמחתנו, בשבוע שעבר, 7 מפלצות מול אישה אחת, היא לא נכנעת, היא נלחמת בהם, היא עושה הכל כדי לא להיחטף. באיזשהו שלב,
Imagine how pathetic these people are.
המחבלים,
How pathetic these people are. These brave soldiers here, these great men here, dragging one woman. She was identified as one of the captives who was recently released, Amit Sassana. And 7 guys, 7 terrorists trying to fight this one woman who is resisting. Why is this blurred here? Why is this part? Is it because she's?
Because it looks like they pull her shirt off.
Yeah.
Looks like they pull her shirt off or something.
And they don't care about that. Yeah. I don't know. Then he tries to carry her on her back, drops. There's more to this video where one of them punches her while she's on the ground, which I shall have somewhere as well. Don't have it handy right now. But an even more severe case of how they treat their captives. And so, warning, it's going to include shoutings and shooting, including the civilian here being killed. Be warned, be forewarned. This is the person who was identified as Razbakovza. He was on the rave, on the music festival that day with his friends. According to his family, his best friend and his girlfriend were killed by Hamas on the spot, right there. And he was taken as a hostage. He was carried in this vehicle. And as they were running, here this vehicle stops at some point, or turns, and he, as you can see here, gets out of the vehicle and tries to walk very slowly, and then he gets shot. Did that one guy just step or kick on him after they already killed him? So this is it. Allegedly, they just took hostages, and it was just all for a deal and all of that. But you can clearly see them here be completely reckless about the lives of one of the captives here. They kidnap them. He gets out, and then they shoot him. And they also have miserable ammo discipline here, just firing multiple shots completely unnecessarily at this one guy there because he got out of the vehicle. 11 times I counted, right? 11 times they shoot. That's how reckless and how undisciplined these animals are. Complete animals. Complete, absolute animals. But yeah, they treated the captives very nicely because that's what they are. Irregular state hosting and other cloud services. I can give a discount to anyone who mentions your channel. Interested? Nope. Thank you.
I still don't know what cloud services are.
Cloud services are.
I know it has something to do with like storage or something, but I don't know how that works.
You're using cloud services literally. You used them before with me when you sent me stuff, I believe. It's like online storage.
What, like Dropbox? Dropbox?
I think that counts as one. Yeah.
Oh yeah. Oh, okay.
I think that's
the
what
thing I get when it says
like online storage stuff.
What's the thing when I get a notification that says your iCloud storage is full, and I'm thinking I don't care. Why would I care about that?
That's carelessness. That's what that is called. Yeah. Giovanni Garcia said after that Booba joke, David, I don't want to hear anything from you about us Woodies. Now you see where we get it from. See, these are Woodies.
No, I made a sophisticated joke to make fun of a terrible person. You guys, AP's fans, just make perverted jokes nonstop with no point.
Yes, that's true. People somehow say clown service now after we talked about cloud service and talking about clowns serving you, which is very interesting. My wife started it. She started it. I knew it. She started clown services.
Who needs clown services when we've got Dawa?
Yes. Giovanni Garcia said, if the trajectory continues like this, Tamara Holloway said, Mojab dances like Farfour dance, Mojab dance. I never forget that dance by Farfour, the great dancer.
That is the creepiest thing. Oh, granddad, this is my granddad is dying dance, but I get the key. I get the key. Granddad is dying. He's giving me the key, and I get Tel Aviv.
Oh no, the Jews killed my granddad. Oh no. Use promo code Mojab with 100-to-1 ratio, with 100-to-1 ratio, with 100-to-1 ratio, with 100-to-1 ratio. That's a very good. That's an important comment, and it's very helpful. Thank you. Farfour said, "Only Hijab can make makeup manly. Yeah, and we're proud of that. You ultra corpidarian."
Pusillanimous. You're being a pusillanimous AP.
Yeah,
that's how he uses it.
You're being a pusillanimous. I completely forgot that I have this on my soundboard.
I'm a medical doctor.
Giovanni Garcia said Hijab's head is shaped like a bean. Absolutely. Very hairy beans. John AP, David Wood fan, said, you don't think we are thugs, you heathens. See, this is a response to us arguing about who.
But it says the name is John. The name is John AP and D Wood fan. Who's the John?
There's probably another AP named John. I don't know. Could be. Great Night 32 said, can I give you a link to a TikTok to help me counter? I could really appreciate a response to this. Believe a bigger tip if you do. You can send it to me on Twitter. I will look at it. I will save it. I was thinking of going live and responding to a bunch of TikToks of Muslims and others. Although
I was thinking of that as well. All these dumb ones that are praising the Quran, they've obviously never read it and they're stupid.
Yeah, stupid. Farfour said 4 AP's Quran footrest. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. Drunk Vac said, how much would it cost for you to eat a full Quran? What, to eat all of it and to swallow it? And poop it out? Is that what you're saying? How much that would cost? Hardcover or not?
We would not. Yeah, we would not like that. Now, feeding a Quran to a bunch of goats and having a bunch of goats eat the entire thing, that's more manageable.
Warning: eating
but yeah, even
damage your health. Let's see.
Yeah, like chewing it up and spitting it out's no problem, but yeah, it is hard to actually consume tons and tons of paper. Believe me, I've tried.
I have to look into this. I have to look if it is dangerous or not. If not, I would eat it for not 10,000. Sanke said, David Wood boldly eats the Quran live on stream. Christian AP only ever eats wieners and strudels.
They're making fun of you for being German, man.
Atheist, draw your own conclusion. Seed of Gabriel said, this is to help you get more Qurans to desecrate. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. I will get another Quran just with that.
Hey, what did you... What? Hold up. What did you eat when you were in Germany, man? Seems like everything... I'm just saying, it seems like everything they eat is pretty haram.
Yeah, I didn't eat much of the German stuff.
You never had Wiener Schnitzel?
Not then, no. Not when I was young. For Apostate Prophet Storage Fund to store all the Qurans people sent him for free until the time of their destructions. This is good. I really appreciate this.
Rouladen is beef. You ever have rouladen?
I don't remember. But I had Berliner. Did you ever have a Berliner?
A donut?
It's not a donut. It's a Berliner. It's different.
That was... You remember where that's famous from, right? John F. Kennedy?
Yes. Ich bin ein Berliner. Yeah, I know that.
Yeah, and to a German, it should be Ich bin Berliner, right? And if you say Ein Berliner, it sounds like you're saying that you're a piece of food.
Yeah, that sounds.
That's what I was
Yeah. It does. It does. A regulator said during COVID, I made sure I had plenty of Qurans in case I run out of toilet paper. That's very smart, actually. It's very smart. I'm also thinking if things go really bad in a post-war environment, Qurans would be really useful. Servant of the Lord said, I really appreciate you both. You guys make me laugh when I'm going through the hardest times. Keep destroying Islam. Hey, I have a simple solution. You probably never thought about this, but just don't go through the hard times.
Yeah, that's what I do.
Life.
I just skip those.
Yeah. Just don't go through them. If you see it, just turn around.
AP's life hacks.
Yeah. EKNYR said, thanks for all you do. From one Israel supporting X to another. Heart. Interesting. Nice. Thank you. I appreciate it. Keep supporting Israel so that they can support us as well. Everyone knows we are all being paid by Israeli agencies and by the Israeli government in order to defend and support Israel publicly. And I think we're doing a good job. Payments are coming in, and it's going very well. I'm happy. Sir Whitemeat said, Dr. David Wood has a PhD, Christian. AP, stupid YouTuber, atheist, draw your own conclusions. What are you talking about? You're 12 years old, man. You're literally 12 years old. White meat. Patricia Berger said, for your personal library needs. See, this is very subtle and very nice.
No,
thank you.
That's good, because this ain't free, ladies and gentlemen. This ain't free. Oh, by the way, I was thinking of a video. This could be funny. You know how Mohammed Hijab, when like Tommy Robinson's challenging him to debate, he challenges him back to a fight?
Yes.
I was thinking of making a video, with one of those punching dummies, just telling Tommy Robinson, say, hey, Tommy, Hijab challenges you to a fight when you challenge him to a debate. So you should go ahead and accept the fight. But since he's putting a condition on the debate, you should put a condition on as well and say you agree to the fight, but he has to post all of your training videos that you will release leading up to the fight. He has to post those, and that's your condition for going through with the fight. So get him to agree with that, and then I'll do your training videos for you. I'll make your training videos, and I'll have like the punching dummy, but covered in Quran pages, and me beating the crap out of it, and pointing out that, hey, you have to understand that it's not the individual, it's the ideology that's driving him. So you have to get your mind around that, and then have this thing decorated in Quran pages, and then me beating the crap out of it, and then showing. That's all you have to do.
Yeah.
And that's basically how you get these guys to back off their fight claims.
That is a good idea. The Quran calls us animals. Mark, you actually got that wrong. The Quran doesn't call you animals. It calls you less than animals, lower than animals, worse than animals. So get your facts right here. Just starting your stream. Thank you. Doorknob had said, how can there be babies without hard times?
You see? These are your fans, man. This is what you produce on your live stream. These are the people who are drawn to your show.
I'm happy. I'm proud of my fans. Carol B said, don't use the Quran as toilet paper. It's not absorbent or soft. It doesn't flush. Just make origami. I know I don't want to hurt my butt by using the Quran as toilet paper, unless it is under very difficult circumstances. So that's why I'm saying, like, in an environment where you don't have any other choice, in a post-war environment, a post-apocalyptic future, or in quarantine, if you have to live in a bunker for a while, then using a Quran to wipe yourself after you do a number 2 would be okay. Yeah.
Oh, speaking of origami, it's actually Quranogami, but I was just talking to AP before we started. I finally figured out, because I told Jake, the Muslim metaphysician, that he had a Quranogami demonstration penalty for whatever it was he did. But I was still, I was settling on Star of David. I was settling on a Quranogami Star of David but trying to think if I could improve it somehow, and just figured it out today. How to unite all faiths and be truly, truly, truly tolerant. Going to do a demonstration for Jake how to make a Koronagami Star of David Christmas tree topper.
Combo.
That's mad scientist level. Koronagami Star of David Christmas tree topper.
That's a good combo.
Show me anything that's cooler than that in the world.
Combo.
Gonna make it for you, Jake. You know you're watching this.
Triple kill. Sir Whitemeat said, I already read this. Wait, I didn't. Oh, I did. I did this too. I'm just reading things that I already read. Purely Groudon said, God bless the faithful witness. Inshallah. Gigi Rada said, Israel has 1/8 of the Levant. The rest is Islamic Sharia. Not the entire rest. There's still Lebanon, to be honest. And there's... Yeah, go ahead.
Let's get it to 8/8. 1/8, not enough. Let's get it to all 8/8.
Yeah, gotta catch them all. Gotta catch them all. Gotta catch them all. You don't know what the song is because you're 50 years old. So Dave said Gazans should be relocated to Pyongyang. Indeed. If you want to talk about places where people live horrible lives, you could talk about Pyongyang. You could talk about North Korea, not about Gaza. In North Korea, people literally don't have enough food to eat. They literally don't get food to eat. In Gaza, they do without even working. Seeking God Finding Yeshua said, hey AP and David Wood, I follow both of you brothers on each of your channels. Did you see the interview on JNS with Zabia? It's worth watching. What is JNS and what is Zabia? I do not know.
Don't know what that is.
What is JNS? JNS is JNS TV. What is JNS TV? Jewish News Syndicate. And what is Zabia? Who is Zabia? I haven't seen it at all. I don't know what it is. I could check it out later. Sid Dave said trans TikTokers are praising Islam. Please do a review of that. I saw a vid where a trans was saying that Allah got no gender and Allah is non-binary. People are retarded nowadays. So people say some really weird things. I saw that too. And I'm just thinking to myself, these people there's something really, really wrong with people. I don't know. They really got their information from the very, very wrong places. What do you think, David?
It's just this weird alliance that we've had for the past 2 decades, and people just seem to think if it's totally normal for them to be part of this alliance, they just think that they're all on the same page there. And so, hey, if Islam is marching with the LGBTQ community and so on, then by golly, Islam must be A-okay with that, and all this stuff must line up with Islam.
Alhamdulillah, beautifully said.
Because democracy basically means government by the people, of the people, for the people. But the people are retarded.
Wait, this is a short one. They cut this short, okay.
Oh, you didn't get the full one. Of the retarded.
Okay. So.
But the people are retarded.
Man, this guy.
So let's say government by the retarded, for the retarded, of the retarded.
this
Oh,
guy,
boy.
man, this guy is
Oh,
just too
man.
much. I find it funny that he keeps those pauses so long.
Oh, yeah, he's wow.
Oh boy, that's Osho, by the way. You might have seen him in documentaries where he created a cult and had a huge compound in America somewhere where people bought him a bunch of cars and watches and stuff. Very nice. Winnie the Pooh said, money for a new Quran or cookies. Alhamdulillah. If you say that, I might get cookies. I don't know. I'll see. But thank you. I appreciate it. Elite Reserve said, to one of us who lives in the UK, take one for the team, please. What is this about? Take one. Why take one for the team? What did we talk about?
I don't know. I don't know when that comment was written.
Probably within the last centuries. Mrs. Apostate said Oregon. Yes, my wife said was that in Oregon, really? Huh. They had
What was in Oregon?
Osho's big compound.
Oh.
Yeah. Grassfield said, subscriber from Indonesia here. It's frightening to see almost the whole country supporting Hamas. That's the problem with the Muslim world. You have them supporting Hamas because of Islam, because of Muslim. Dave said AP should win Nobel Prize for Peace. No, I don't think so. Great Knight said, just joined your Patreon. Do you have a Discord? I do, but I never run it. I should get back to it and to run that. It would be very nice. It would be very nice. Hey, I should put that people are retarded on my soundboard. Farfur said David Wood has a polite chat. Christian AP has this chat. Atheist. Draw your own conclusions.
That pretty much sums up our channels.
Weren't you bringing up lots of super chats last time when I was on your channel and you were saying, look at this?
That was to show the people who followed over from your channel to my channel just because I had you on there. This is what I have to deal with.
Yeah. Dear Wolfie said, you guys are Israel in my analogy. LOL. I should have said, on December 7th, your eyes are closed, and then I will put a leather strap on them. That was on my, let's just say, you will have to perform ablution. It's interesting. Yeah. In that case, yes, you're right. You're right. I agree with you. Sanke said, inspired by AP, here's a Hitler quote for reflection. Die Augen sind der Lederriemen des Armes. Und wenn die Augen schlafen, lockert sich der Lederriemen. That's funny. Just using a translator here for the same hadith. Where are you from, by? Where is this? What currency is that? I don't know.
It's rubles.
Sid Dave said Muslims thought they won the Crusades in the 13th century, but Christians are having the last laugh. Establishing Israel was a boss move. Yeah, I would say that was very politically inspired rather than religiously. So, yeah, there's that. Oh, that's Brazil. Okay, that's Brazilian dollars. Is that? That's interesting. Sanke said Brazil, actually. Nice. Greetings to Brazil. I
don't have rubles in Brazil. They don't use rubles in Brazil, so
I don't care. I have noticed from the very beginning of the founding of my channel, I've had an interestingly not so small Brazilian audience on my channel. Like when I check the data, when I check the audience on my YouTube studio, it shows that I have had lots of people from Brazil watching forever, and to this day, I still don't entirely understand it, but I guess it's nice. No. Yeah. Sid Dave said Muslims. I already read this. Why are you making me read this again? Sid Dave said, "Have you seen Mad Max Fury Road? Immortal Joe always reminded me of what Mo must have been like."
Immortan. It's Immortan.
Immortan Joe always reminded me of what Mo must have been like. He has also young brides, promises heaven, and in a desert. Huh.
That is my favorite. That is my favorite movie of all time.
I haven't seen it, so it's not.
But yes, the parallels to Muhammad are striking.
I haven't seen it, so it's not your favorite movie.
It's a dope movie. It's basically one giant car chase, the entire thing.
It's based. Sir White Meat said David Wood has a nose of steel. Christian AP sneezes like a little kid and atheist. Draw your own conclusions. Justin said AP stimulates battles pretending to be a warrior. Atheist. David Wood survived the prison system, coming out stronger. Christian. Draw your own conclusions. Prashi Prash says, I am from India. I have seen Palestinians comparing Hamas to Indian freedom fighters who fought against the British. Our freedom fighters never attacked British women, children, only army officers. Well, according to the Hamas supporters, Hamas also didn't attack women and children, contrary to everything we have seen on footage, because it didn't happen, because the earth is also flat. And also, the Holocaust never happened, probably. Makes sense, too. SC Rocket XR1 said, but the leather step. That's good. That's nice. Myron Jimenez said, AP David Wood, do you know anyone teaches Arabic that isn't the Dawagandist like Arabic 101? I don't know. I saw...
You can get a book on learning Arabic, like Aleph Ba and stuff, start there.
People don't read books for Arabic.
You can watch people's videos on learning Arabic.
There are some people who teach Arabic on YouTube, actually, that are not like Islamists, that have quite secular approaches. Can probably find that. Probably.
We recommend learning Arabic from Farfour the Mouse.
Yes, absolutely.
We're proud of that.
I recommend learning Arabic directly by becoming a truthful, real Muslim, and saying Alhamdulillah day and night. You will learn Arabic then. Giovanni Garcia said, haha, AP said poop. Beverly Hills.
These are your fans, man. This is the level
my fans.
Of the mentality of your fans.
I love it. I'm proud of that.
We're proud of that.
Beverly Hills.
This is what you've been doing for years. You've been building a community, but now we're looking at your community, and this is what you poop.
This is what I have been building, fostering. This is my dream.
This is your life's work. This is what your life's work has come to.
It's my dream come true. Beverly Hills Homeless said, "Thank you for speaking out against Islam. Stay safe. Yes, stay safe." SC Rocket XR1, thank you. Said, couple of shekels for you. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. I will buy new Qurans with that. Thomas Smith said, wouldn't feeding a Quran to pigs be more meaningful? It would be, but I don't know.
Oh, let's just say that'll be happening. Already had the volunteers. Already had the volunteers. No, the pigs will just eat it like it's nothing.
Wonderful. Thomas Smith said, wouldn't feed the Quran. I already read this. Chaos in Order said, hey, AP and David, I've been itching to crack my knuckles and debate with a Muslim. Know anyone that would be willing to debate if Muhammad was prophesied in the Bible? I bet if you contact Modern Day Debate, you will find one of those.
You can find someone.
You could debate Nader Ahmed. That's a good start. Yeah, that's a good start. Everyone can debate Nader Ahmed. You could know nothing about Islam, and you could go into it and debate Nader Ahmed, and you would probably be pretty good. Yeah, always a good start. Grey Knight said, found your Discord, posted the link in the supporters chat. Glad to be part of the Apostate clan. Welcome to the club. Welcome to the club. I need to be active there. I need to do stuff there. That would be very nice. St. Miles said, doing a quick stop. Hey, what's up? How are you doing? Hope you're doing well. Sorry, I wasn't able to see the full show, but want to show I'm still contributing to your efforts. I appreciate it. I see it, and I appreciate it. Always nice to have you here, Miles. Sid Dave said Quran is a good source of heat in winters. Yeah, that too. That could be a use too. But again, you might use it for toilet paper as well. Human Liberty said Israel should say we are sending martyrs to Jannah. Shirk to claim that's not the best for them. Please search your emails for one signed by Nanny Poo Poo. You say Zabiba, I say Zabuba. Let's call the whole thing off.
Do you even know that song, AP?
I don't know it, but I can. What is it?
You say Zabiba and I say Zabooba.
I don't know that.
Zabiba, Zabooba, Zabiba, Zabooba. Let's call the whole thing off.
Twitter just introduced a new thing called Premium Plus subscriptions. I guess Elon is trying to counter the whole, being blackmailed by companies, by advertisers, by introducing new plans for Twitter users. That's funny. I will check it. I will check it out. I'll check my email and see that. Human liberty. I'll check it out. Eric and Alkane said store Quran as a counterexample to the future civilization. Yeah, could put notes on there and do that. Habakkuk said, watching you two during night shifts, amazing content, much love from Israel. Thank you so much. Thank you. And thank you for not making it very obvious that this is actually Mossad giving us our money. Thank you. Thank you for keeping it cool and secret. Eric and Hopkins said, you should convince Lloyd the Young to have a stream on Sharia. I heard of that guy quite a bit. Maybe. Do you know anything about that person?
No, I've seen the name like a million times, but yeah, don't know anything.
I've seen it 2 million times. Bukharian said,
I never trust anyone named Lloyd.
Lloyd? Yeah, why?
They start their name with 2 L's. What kind of crap is that?
I know, it's ridiculous, man. Change your name. Go
I feel like they're born to stutter or something. Lloyd.
I find it funny when they say Jews never suffered in Muslim lands. There's articles on Wikipedia that talk about the Bukharian Jews' forced conversion to Islam. Definitely check it out. Search. Yeah. There. If you just stop in the 19th century, in the 1800s, there were several pogroms, several attacks on Jews. There was one major incident, actually. It's called the Damascus. Yeah, great. Damascus Affairs, I believe. Yeah, Damascus Affair. That happened in 1840s, which actually contributed to the entire idea of having to relocate Jews to a safer place where they will not be targeted by mad people over rumors. There was a major incident called the Damascus Affair where a man and his servant disappeared, and it was rumored that the Jews killed him. That was called a blood libel, an actual blood libel. It was rumored that the Jews killed those 2 people, kidnapped them, and killed them to use their blood in baking, because that's what Jews do in their rituals. An insanity that has been around for quite a while, and that spread from Damascus to lots of places, and yeah, that's one of the issues that actually contributed to Zionism and to people wanting to leave Muslim lands because of these repeated harassments and ridiculous conspiracy theories. What is this? Sheikh Armin Ibn Wahhabi said Allah is non-binary. It would be. I wouldn't be surprised if this is actually Armin Wahhabi himself doing this. Dawa Anis said, much love and respect. Alhamdulillah. Alhamdulillah. Said, I would love to show you what is beneath my leather strap. It's your eyes. We know it. Seeking God, Finding Yeshua said, sorry, AP, her full name is Dalia Ziada, and the interview was on JNS TV. I will check it out. I may take a note. I will check it out. I'll go see. Yeah, and to the topic, some people are talking about it in the chat now, but to the whole topic of Palestinian, Palestine, I love magic, of Jews living in Arabia experiencing genocide. So even if we are talking about the specific region, which the Jewish population themselves, the Zionists in the region, called Palestine at that time because the British called it Palestine. Even if we're just talking about that region, the whole idea that the Arabs were there and they welcomed the Jews and opened their arms and were like, Jews, come here, live with us, we love you. That's complete nonsense. Jews lived there already, were there. Jews always lived there. Those Jews who did, go there, who migrated there to that region, they weren't welcomed with open arms by the Arabs. The Arabs were not in charge of welcoming anyone in that region because they didn't control the land. The British did. So, and the arrival of those Jews who migrated there was not at all welcomed nicely with love by the Arabs. Not at all. The first Zionist paramilitary group, the Haganah, was formed in 1920 because they thought, we can't live like this. We have to form a military group to defend ourselves from the repeated harassment and the targeting and the violence of the British, and also of the violence from the Arabs, and also from the British, who failed to protect us and who also engage in harassment on both sides. So the Jews had to defend themselves and created the first paramilitary group because of the major Arab aggressions against them. They were never welcoming. They were never wonderfully tolerant. There never was such a thing. That's a complete myth. Harun Rumor says that all the Jews in I already read this. Man. Why do you make me read this again? Only a trans Muslim will have a 1-to-2 ratio of Zabiba to Zabuba. SC Rocket said, greetings and salutations from South Carolina. Greetings back to South Carolina. Yosef said, I'm still laughing about that earlier joke. Yosef said the Pope told Hertz, so he's willing to donate money did using need, but would never support the reestablishment of sovereignty of Israel, as it's against everything he believes in. Huh. I don't understand this, but I will check. I will check if there's such a development. So Dave said, was Khadija Muhammad's sugar mama? Yeah, she was.
Yeah,
indeed she was.
Mm-hmm.
Indeed she was.
Indeed.
She was indeed. He said that she funded his prophethood startup. That's where he started.
Yeah, so it's always funny because when we point out stuff with Muhammad and his child bride Aisha, and with Zainab taking the wife of his own adopted son, and with Sophia, and with Mary the Copt, and whenever we point out all the creepy stuff this dude is doing, the response is, but he was monogamous with Khadija. So this proves he's not a pervert.
Yeah.
And that his later relationships were only for political alliances and so on. And it's just amazing that a guy marrying a rich widow is evidence of his pure intentions, right? Like if I went out and married some rich widow, it could totally be love and so on, but I wouldn't take that. No one would take that as evidence of my sincerity. And yet in Islam it is.
Yeah. Yeah. Muhammad was an entrepreneur. He came up with this idea of starting a profit startup, and Khadija was like, hey, I have the funds. I will support you.
I can invest in your career as a prophet.
I will invest in this business. It seems like a good idea. And so they started out, and it actually worked. They so the return on investment was pretty good. And that's where Muhammad started.
Yeah. All he had to do was bang her, and then she funds his career as a prophet.
Best business decision ever. David Wood's chat has super thoughtful super chats. Christian AP's chat post poop in super chats. Atheist try on conclusions.
No, it's poop.
Hobocop said the Quran pages won't flush. I tried to flush it again and suddenly my bathroom is flooded with water. Alhamdulillah, this is a miracle of the Quran that water is over the floor. Kufar. This is good. That's good.
It's also funny that it's Hobocop.
I see. Yeah. Did you see RoboCop back in the day when the first old one?
Sure, like 90 times.
Really? Why would you do that?
The original RoboCop? That was awesome,
Yes.
man. Everyone loved that when it came out.
Yeah, I remember watching that as a child.
Hey, what was crazy is when they originally made it, it got classed as rated X for the extreme violence in it, and they kept having to edit it down to eventually get it to an R rating. It's one of the few movies ever that were just given an X rating because of the extreme violence, and it's basically like all the scenes, like where the Ed 209 shoots that guy with a machine gun, it just kept going and going and going and going and going with him blasting and blowing the guy's guts all over the place and stuff like that. So they had to. It's interesting because the final product is extremely violent, but it was enough to where they got a rated X rating back in the day.
Is there an uncut version of it though, like a longer version? I'm wondering. I never watched. I watched that as a child. I don't remember anything about it. Maybe I should go.
You had that in Germany?
Yes, of course. We think. Jeff Durbler said Sean McDowell had a former Muslim who said he was from the house of Muhammad and turned from jihad to Jesus. If that is interesting. Huh. Who's Sean McDowell?
What are you talking about? They're spelling Sean wrong here, but that's Josh McDowell's son, man.
Who's Josh McDowell?
Josh McDowell, he was like the biggest Christian apologist in the 1980s. And
I know, but I don't know who Sean McDowell is.
No, there's Sean McDowell.
Yeah.
He's well, I can't even say he's young anymore. He just looks and acts young, even though he's old too.
Aren't we all? David the Goliath said, is it plausible that Palestinians are descendants of biblical era Jews who were converted to Islam and Arabized during Arab rule? So sad.
We've said before that there will be some of that in the gene pool.
Yeah, definitely will be some of that in the gene pool. So the thing is, genetics are very complicated, a very difficult issue. But so from what I have seen, the one group among those who are nowadays called Palestinians, there is one group, and those are the ones that identify as Palestinian Christians, who are closest in genetics related to the ancient civilizations. The Palestinian Muslims, not that much. They are twice as distant as the Palestinian Christians, because the Palestinian Muslims have a lot of influence from Arabs. A lot of Arab mixing, Arab populations coming in, settling there, intermixing. So lots of them might just be people who, descendants of Arabs who came in there and then mixed with the local population. There are lots of, there's like 15% sub-Saharan African genetics or something also among the Palestinian Muslim population. There is that. But yeah, definitely we will have people in there, over there, who are descendants of very ancient populations. The current study is that the Jews and the Palestinians have shared genetics that lead back to ancient civilizations that lived there. That's it. Sankey says, has largest diaspora in the world. I can't see what this is Bulgaria, right? Has largest Lebanese diaspora in the world, 7 million by descent, 95% Christians who fled, almost as many evangelicals as the US, 70 million also pro-Israel, missions to countries with jihadis. Might explain it. Huh.
That's a Brazil flag, man.
Oh, really? I can't see the flag on here. I can only see
That's the same guy who was. That's the same guy who was telling you about Brazil early on.
This is so stupid. On my screen, I can't see the flags. I only see the letters. So I have to. Okay, yeah, that's Brazil. I see it now on the YouTube screen. Yep. Okay, Brazil. Brazil has the largest Lebanese diaspora. I see. Okay, that makes sense. That makes sense. That makes sense. That makes sense. Thank you for that clarification. Noan said, Jesus is waiting for you, AP. Yeah, that's interesting. Sheikh Armin Ibn Mohammed said 1948, Arabs who didn't fight were allowed to stay. Pretty much. I do believe there were some collective displacements during the 1948 as well. But if you ask me, I don't judge them for it. Yes, I said it. Israel was defending itself. Sorry. Grays 174 said, was Muhammad actually an Ishmaelite? Nobody knows. Nobody can know.
No way of knowing. Yeah, no way of knowing there.
Nobody knows who and what is what. It was a common myth, which means neither true or false to my knowledge, but a common myth, a commonly known thing that people claimed Abraham in that environment, and nobody knows who was actually right and who was actually wrong. So there's that. All right. Anything else you want to say before we leave, David?
Everyone convert to Islam. The world will be so much better.
Beautiful, beautifully said. Beautiful words. Alhamdulillah.
How about no? I don't buy your Allah.
That's Jordy's comments about that. Anyway, we might be going live again on. You will be live with Robert Spencer tomorrow, I believe. We might do something again.
We should do something on Thursday. Yeah, let's do something on Thursday.
We will probably watch the Submission movie and go through that, which was made by Ayaan Hirsi Ali and Theo van Gogh, for which Theo van Gogh was murdered by an Islamist who also wanted to kill Ayaan Hirsi Ali and Geert Wilders. We will probably watch that at some point and review it. That might be on Thursday or on the weekend. We will have different topics ready. We will be here again. Yeah. It's so funny, Ella. Okay. No.
Hey, I didn't hear it. I only heard it like through your headphones.
I know. I just realized.
Your sound effects stopped working.
I don't buy your Allah.
Okay, no.
Okay, there you go.
You hear that, right?
I don't buy your Allah.
Can you hear this?
I don't buy your Allah.
Your Allah, yeah.
He doesn't buy your Allah.
Can you hear this one?
I don't buy your Allah. I don't buy your Allah.
Did you hear this one?
I don't buy your Allah. 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 I don't buy your Allah.
Okay.
Yeah, we're good.
Works. Okay. Thanks everyone for watching. We will be back soon. Have a fantastic day. Did I mention Jesus loves you, AP? Yes, you did. Syrian Self said, when are you two meeting again? Any plans? Soon.
We just said it.
Soon. Have a fantastic day, everybody. And as always,
I don't buy your Allah.
No. As always,
stay away from Islam.